consideration of the Asthi Sharira. Now see here, so actually this Asthi Sharira, that is for the skeletal system only. See, if you see the skeletal system here in our body, so this skeletal system consists of the bone and the cartilage here. Okay, so this skeletal system, what is the main function of the skeletal system? So it forms the framework of the body, isn't it? So the framework of the human is given by the skeletal system in case of human. So it gives the structure or the framework of the body, isn't it? So that is the main function of the skeletal system. Okay. So other functions are also there, but basically that is for the framework only. So the framework. So if so your appearance like human, isn't it? So it is due to the skeletal system only. So there is the head is there, neck is there, trunk is there, upper limb is there. So these all framework for these all the structures that is given by the skeletal system only. So that includes the bone and the cartilage. Then the one terminology is there, that is the osteology. So the osteology, that means the study of all the aspect of the bone. Okay. So that is the structure of bone, formation of the bone, function of the bone, pathology of the bone. So all these are dealt under the osteology. So this osteology, so this is the actually systemic anatomy. Osteology comes under the systemic anatomy. Okay. Are you getting? So we have got a macroscopic anatomy, isn't it? So this macroscopic, we have got a regional anatomy and the systemic anatomy. So under the systemic anatomy also there are the various branches are there. So like osteology, study of bone; myology, study of muscles; angiology, study of blood vessels. Okay, splenomenology, study of viscera. Okay, so arthrology, study of joints. Okay, so osteology, that is the one of the systemic anatomy. Okay, here you will deal all the aspect of the bone. Okay. Now see here, bone. Now we see the bone. Now see here, so the bone in the Latin, the bone is called as os. Os, that is the Latin name for the bone. Similarly in the Greek, osteon, that is for the bone. Okay, that is the name in the Latin and the Greek. Now see here, the bone is the connective tissue, it is the living tissue. See here, if you classify the body tissue, means there are 4 types of body tissue is there. So epithelial tissue is there. So there is the connective tissue, next is the muscular tissue, and the next is the nervous tissue. So this epithelial tissue, that forms the covering of the body and the lining of the tubular organ. Okay. So now see connective tissue, this connective tissue, that function of this connective tissue, that is for support, okay, or to nourish. Okay. That is the storage function. Okay, and the various functions are there. So that is for the connective tissue. This under connective tissue, so there are the various categories are there. So the liquid connective tissue is there and hard connective tissue is there. Okay, so under the hard connective tissue, bones will come, bone and cartilage will come. Okay, blood is also connective tissue, lymph also connective tissue, bone and cartilage also connective tissue, ligaments are also connective tissue, adipose tissue, irregular tissue, these all are connective tissue only. So one of the connective tissue is bone. So almost 1/3 of the connective tissue is formed by the bone only. So the bone contribute in the 1/3 of the connective tissue. So bone is the living tissue also. Because see this bone, it has got a tendency to grow and development, isn't it? See, if any fracture is there, the bone can heal itself, isn't it? So it's a living tissue. So now if you see the composition of the bone, so the composition of the bone, you will find basically 3 components. Okay, these 3 components we can categorize into, okay, just water, then the cellular component, then the acellular components. Okay. Acellular components. Okay. Or directly you can write water, organic, inorganic, and the cellular component also. Okay. Okay. The next way to see, so water, next is the cellular component. Okay. By any means you can do. Okay. Cellular component, then organic and inorganic. Anyway, so this organic and inorganic, they are acellular only. Okay. By any means you can do. Okay. Now see here, first we'll see the water. So the bone consists of 20 to 30% of the water. Water means, you know, no need to say for that. So the 10 to 20 to 30%. Okay, there is the water in the bone. Now see here, next is the acellular component, that is the inorganic and organic. Now if you see the inorganic substances or inorganic component of the bone, so this inorganic substances that are the minerals of the bone. Okay, so this inorganic substances, that is the salt of the calcium and the phosphorus only. So that makes the bone. So the calcium and the phosphorus. Okay, calcium phosphate, calcium carbonate, and the trace of the other salt, that forms the inorganic substances. And see, the main function of the inorganic substances is to make the bone hard and rigid. Okay, so these inorganic substances make the bone hard and rigid. Okay, it makes the bone tough, very tough. Okay, so that is the function of inorganic substance, so that it can bear the compressive force. Okay, so with this inorganic substances make the bone hard and rigid, so that it can bear the compressive force or the impact force of jumping. Okay, just that it, so that it can bear the compressive force. So it makes the bone tough, very tough, due to the inorganic substances only. Now if you see the organic substances, see these organic substances, so it is form of collagen fiber bounded with the amorphous mucopolysaccharide. Okay, now see here, so these organic substances, they are laid down by the osteoblast only. So the collagen fiber here, that is the type 1 collagen fiber is in the bone. Okay, now I will give here. So these organic substances, so collagen fiber, that is the type 1 collagen fiber. In cartilage you will find the type 2 collagen fiber. Okay, so type 1 collagen fiber. So these organic substances, that is the collagen fiber, they are laid down by the, or they are produced by the osteoblast cell. So the function of osteoblast I will explain while explaining the cellular component of the bone. Okay, so they are laid down by the cellular component, that is the osteoblast will lay down, or they will form these organic substances. Now see here, so the organic substances, okay, that is the collagen fiber bounded with the amorphous mucopolysaccharide, this whole thing, that is the osteoid. So that is termed as the osteoid. So see, during the formation of the bone, what will happen? See, so there is the osteoblast is there. Okay, so bone forming cell is there. So the bone forming cells, they will form the collagen fiber. Okay, in the matrix. So the collagen fiber, including this amorphous molecule mucopolysaccharide or the matrix, that is the osteoid. And this osteoid, so that is calcified. So there is the deposition of the calcium in the osteoid. Then it becomes the hard. Then it forms the osteon. So the osteon, that is one lamina is formed there. So similarly, next lamina is formed. Okay, then the bone is formed here. So just remember, organic substances, there is a collagen fiber bounded with the amorphous mucopolysaccharide. So these organic substances, that is the osteoid. Okay, so these organic substances, they are laid down by the osteoblast. So here you can see this osteoblast is here. Okay. Now see, next component of the cell, that is the cellular component of the cell. So the cellular component of the cell, it consists of 4 types of cells. Okay, 4 types of cells, that is the bone cells. They are the cellular component of the bone only. So you will see the 4 types of cells. They are the osteoprogenitor cell, osteoblast cell, osteocytes, and the osteoclast. See this osteoprogenitor cell. So if you see the bone, so bone has got a covering, that is the periosteum. So the covering of the bone, so the covering of the bone is the periosteum. So this, if you see the periosteum, it has got a 2 layer, outer fibrous layer and inner cellular layer. So see here, now I am telling the osteoprogenitor cells. This osteoprogenitor cells, they are the precursor cells. So these osteoprogenitor cells, they can form the osteoblasts and osteoclasts, they can differentiate into other bone cells. Okay, so it can give rise to the osteoblast and the osteocyte. So they are the precursor cell or the osteoprogenitor cell. This osteoprogenitor cell, it lies in the inner layer of the periosteum. So this is the inner cellular layer. So that is the inner osteoprogenitor cell layer actually. Okay, so in this layer, the inner layer of the periosteum, here is the osteoprogenitor cell. So inner cell layer, there you will find the osteoprogenitor cell. Just I will write here osteo cells here. Okay, so in the inner cell layer of the periosteum. Periosteum is, that is the covering of the bone. Okay, so this is the outer covering of the bone, that is the periosteum. In the periosteum, again it has got a two layer, outer fibrous and the inner cellular. So in the cellular layer only there is the osteoprogenitor cell. So it is the precursor cell or the stem cell. So it can give rise to the other bone cell. So they are considered as the stem cell or the precursor cell. Okay, so you can see in the below picture, from the osteoprogenitor cell it can differentiate into the osteoblast also, and even it can differentiate into the osteocyte also. Now see here, next is the osteoblast. So this osteoblast cell, that is the actual cell, bone forming cell. Okay, bone are formed by these cells only. So this osteoblast cell, they can synthesize the matrix also. So osteoid is there, isn't it? So organic substances and the amorphous substances, so they all are released by the osteoblast cell. So they are considered as the bone forming cell. Okay, during the ossification of the bone, this collagen fiber and the matrix, okay, they are released by the or synthesized by the osteoblast only. So they are responsible for the formation of the bone or growth of the bone. Okay, so they are the bone forming cell in one point. Okay, now next is the osteocytes. So these osteocytes, actually see, they are the mature bone cell. So and they are the living cell. Okay, see these osteocytes, they make the bone as a living tissue. See here, if you see the osteocytes, they have got a large or cytoplasmic extension. Can you see this extension? They are the cytoplasmic extension. Okay, now see this I will draw here for you. So suppose here bone is going to form here. Okay, suppose bone is going to form here. Okay, now suppose this is the surface where bone is to be formed. Now see here, suppose here, suppose this green color, so that is the osteoblast. Okay, now this osteoblast, it will going to form the bone here. Okay, suppose these all are the osteoblast. Okay, now see here, now what will happen? See, now this osteoblast, it will secrete the collagen fiber, it will secrete the other amorphous substances or matrix of the bone. Okay, now how it will secrete in the next step, see here. Now, so this is the surface only. See, this is the surface only. Okay, so this is the next step. From this step, now this step. Now see what will happen in the next step. So the osteoblast cell, they will release the matrix. Okay, so this matrix, suppose these are the matrix, so releases by the, so they are the collagen fiber and other component in the matrix. Okay, so they are the collagen fiber. Now your osteoblast cell is here, okay, on the surface. So now it will be on the surface of this matrix. So this layer, so that is the osteoid. Okay, now see, this is the osteoid. Now it is not hard only. Okay, now what will happen in the next step? So this is the osteoblast is here. Now in the next step, see here what will happen. So here is the base is there only. Okay, now here bone is going to form here. So this is here only. Okay, now what will happen in this osteoid? Now there is the deposition of the calcium. Salt of calcium will deposit and they will calcify. Then they will become the hard mass here. Okay, now what will happen? See here in the next step here. So now see here. So now they will become hard. Okay, now here. Now this became the hard. Okay, so this is the, now it became hard. So it became the osteon. One lamina of the bone is found here. Then what will happen? Now see here, this osteoblast. So these are hard only. Okay, just make it color here. Fill the color here. So now see, now the osteoblast cell, now it lies in the surface only, isn't it? So here is the osteoblast. Same thing. Okay. Now what will happen? Some of the osteoblast cells, they will trap in between the two lamina of the bone. Okay. Some will trap there. So suppose they are the cell which are trapped in between the lamina. So this cell, suppose this is the cell, they are trapped. Okay. In between the two lamina of the bone. Now this cell, they are the osteocyte. They are the mature bone cells. Similarly, this osteoblast, again it will make the one next lamina of the bone, and some cell will trap in between. Again it will go in the up. Again, so it will continuously deposit the lamina of the bone, and some cells are trapped in between the two lamina. So actually you can see that this depressed space here. So this is space, that is the lacunar space. So this osteocyte cells, they are trapped in the lacunar space. So these cells, they have got a large cytoplasmic process. So this cytoplasmic process, they will extend from the canaliculi, and this cytoplasmic extension of this one osteocyte will make communication with the cytoplasmic extension of next cell also. Okay. So it will communicate with the other cell also through this cytoplasmic extension. So these osteocytes, they are the mature bone cell. Okay. Next is the osteoclast. This osteoclast, that is the bone remodeling cell or bone reabsorbing cell. See, sometimes during the formation of the bone, there may be the excess deposition of the lamina may be there, isn't it? So this excess deposition of bone, they are observed, and the proper shape of the bone is given by the osteoclast only. Are you getting? So if there is the excess deposition of the bone, now see here, I'll draw one outline for you here for the osteoclast. For example, now, okay, I'll draw here. Suppose this is the one bone is there. Okay, suppose this is the bone. Okay, suppose this is the one bone is there. Now suppose here is the fracture. Okay, now here is the fracture of the bone. Now see here, suppose here is the fracture of the bone. If fracture of the bone is there, so what will happen? Okay, now suppose here is the fracture. So this bone break into two pieces. Okay, now see here. So these are the two pieces of the bone. Now what will happen? So fracture of bone is there. Now this fracture, they will heal, isn't it? No, during healing, see, so there may be the excess deposition of the bone tissue may be there, isn't it? So now suppose there is the healing process is going on, and there is the excess deposition of the bone tissue is there. Now see here, I'll draw in the next diagram here. So suppose this is the bone, it is under the process of healing. Okay, now so suppose this is the bone. Now after healing is like this. Now see here, in this side there was the fracture. So now during healing there may be the excess deposition of the bone tissue may be there. Okay, suppose this is the excess deposition is there. Now see here, now so this, see the bone, it does not acquire it proper shape, isn't it? Now see this, the excess deposition of this bone tissue, they are observed by the osteoclast. Then they will observe this excess tissue, and they will give the bone proper shape. Now after observation of this excess tissue, now your bone will be like this. Okay, then it will acquire the normal shape of the bone. So this excess deposition of the bone, they are observed by the osteoclast. So they are the bone remodeling cell. Are you getting? If there is excess deposition of the bone tissue are there, they will observe that. So they are the cellular component of the bone. Then the next, see, One more thing is there. So these organic substances, okay. So these organic substances make the bone flexible. Okay. Just add one point for the organic substances. These organic, see this inorganic substances make the bone hard and rigid, but the organic substances they make the bone flexible, flexible and resilient, so that it can bear the tensile force. Okay. So organic component they make the bone flexible and the resilient. Now see if you correlate with the Panchabhautika Sangatana. So see here the inorganic substances makes they are the component of the Prithvi, isn't it? And the organic component, so that is the Jala. Okay, including with the water. Okay, that I have already told. Now see here. Now we'll go for the next now. So this is about the bone, introduction of the bone. Okay. Now we'll see the some function of the bone now. So this is important here. See here. So the function of the bone we'll see here. So the structural framework that you know already. So the bone it forms the structural framework. See in the diagram here. See the shape of the human that is given by the bone only. See, just you imagine your human body without the bone. What will happen? All the muscles they will fall down and they will make a one mass, isn't it? It does not has got a proper shape and size without the bone. So the structural basis that is formed by the bone only. So that is the one function. Next is the supports. Now see the bone forms the supporting structure also. See it supports the muscles, ligament, tendon. These are all structures present in the body. See here in this. See here you can see here. So ligament, see the muscle here. So muscle is attached on the bone only. So if there is no bone means there is no site for attachment of the muscles, isn't it? So the tendency, see the attachment, see that attachment on the ligaments, okay? And even the nerve, okay, with the support of the bone only they will run along your body, nerves, vessels, okay? So that supports the other soft tissues of the body, isn't it? So if no bone means there is no site for the attachment of the muscles. If there is no site of attachment means they may fall down. Okay, there is the no existence of these muscles. So next is the movement. So the muscle, see the bone act as a lever. You know the simple machine. So one of the simple machine that is the lever. So here in the human body, the bone act as a lever. Okay, see the movement in this moving diagram here. So this bone, this is moving, and the force for the movement that is by the muscles only. So the muscles is considered as the motor of the body. Force is given by the muscle, and bone is the simple machine that is the lever, and joint is the fulcrum. Okay, so this is the fulcrum here. So force is here by the muscles, and if you put something in your hand, so that is the load. So this movement, so that is the, it's like a simple machine, isn't it? So it's a, bone is the type of simple machine that is the lever. So bone acts as a lever and help in the movement, and the energy is supplied by the muscle. Okay. Okay. Next is the protection. Now the protection here. So this bone forms the different body cavities also. So while reading the body cavities, so body cavities generally they are bounded by the musculoskeletal element, isn't it? So by making the cavity, it will protect by making the by taking part in the reticuloendothelial system or immune system. Actually, that is the reticular. Now, see, we are reading the function of the bone. Now, the next function that is the protection. So this it protect your body. See, by two means, see, by forming the body cavities. Okay, boundary, it forms the boundary of certain cavities and protect the viscera and organ within it. Then the next by the means of this the bone. So inside the bone you will find the bone marrow, so that they are the part of reticuloendothelial system. Now see, first we'll go for the bone cavities. Now you have already seen the body cavities, isn't it? Cranial cavity, so that lodges the brain within it. So it is entirely made by the bone only, isn't it? So see, it protects the brain. So the function of the bone only. So that bones form the cranial cavities and protect the brain. Similarly, see the thoracic cavity. See the boundary of thoracic cavity. So the thoracic cavity boundary is formed by the ribs, costal cartilage, sternum, and the vertebra. So they are the bone only. So they makes the wall of thoracic cavity and the protect the viscera like heart, lungs, isn't it? So that is the protection. Even in the pelvic cavity, so the boundary of pelvic cavity, okay, most of the boundary that is formed by the bone only. So if you see the lesser pelvis, so boundary that is formed by the wall of the lesser pelvis that is formed by the bone only. So in the lesser pelvis you will find the organ of reproductive system of male and female, okay, internal organ. Then you will find the bladder and rectum, sigmoid colon. So these all are protected by the bony wall of the pelvic cavity. So that bone acts as the, so bone helps in the protection of the viscera also. Now by the next means, see here, this bone take part in the immune system also. So see here, if you see the bone, inside the bone there is the bone marrow. So this bone marrow, they help in formation of the lymphocytes. So here lymphocytes, so T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. So these T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes, for this the bone marrow is responsible. From the bone marrow, so these T lymphocytes and the B lymphocytes are formed. So they are the component of the immune system of the body. Okay, so this immune system protect your body from the foreign organism or foreign antigens. Okay, so the bone marrow act as the component of the reticuloendothelial system. Okay, this bone marrow lies in the medullary cavity of the bone only. Okay, are you getting? So the bone marrow is the component of reticuloendothelial system. Okay, so this bone marrow, from there is the T lymphocytes and the B lymphocytes. They are the component of the immune system only. Are you getting? So that is the protection. So these are the component of the immune system. Component of immune system. So immunity, that is for the protection of your body against the foreign organism, isn't it? And by making the body cavity also it will protect. So protection of the various viscera. Now next is the storage. So see here is storage function. So the bone, see the calcium and the phosphorus, they are stored in the bone only. Are you getting? So it is the site of storage of the calcium and the phosphorus, isn't it? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Now next, see here. So actually this is storage function. So see here, for example, if there is the increase, so what will happen? See, if there is the high level of calcium in your blood, what will happen? So there is the action of see, there are two hormones are there. That is the calcitonin hormone that is from the thyroid gland, and there is the parathyroid hormone in the from the parathyroid gland. Okay, so due to the action of these two hormones, so the level of the calcium is maintained. Okay, so if there is the excess calcium in the blood, then what will happen? What will happen? So if there is parathyroid hormone is more secretion is there, then what will happen? So from the bone, the calcium is absorbed in the blood, isn't it? Then if there is the more secretion of the calcitonin hormone, means from the blood the calcium is stored into the bone. Okay, are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just remember that is the storage function. Though storage function that bones store the calcium and the phosphorus. Okay, and by the help of two hormones, that is the calcitonin hormone from the thyroid gland and the parathyroid hormone from the parathyroid gland, they maintain the level of the calcium in the blood. Okay. So next is the blood cell production. So if you see the hematopoietic, so that is the formation of the blood cells. So the blood cells, they are produced from the bone marrow only. Red bone marrow is there in the bone. So from there is the formation of the different blood cell. So this bone marrow consists of hematopoietic stem cell. So these hematopoietic stem cells, they can give rise the various type of blood cell. So as you know that is there is the red blood cells is there, white blood cells is there, platelets is there. So they all are derived from the hematopoietic stem cell. They are present in the red bone marrow in the inside the medullary cavity of the bone. So there is the role in the production of the blood cells also. Okay. So that is the next function of the bone. Now the next function of the bone, that is the role in hearing. So if you see the ear, it has got three parts. So external ear, middle ear, and the inner ear. So if you see the middle ear, there are the three ear ossicles. So these three ear ossicles, they are the malleus, incus, and steps. So these three ear ossicles, they are the bone only. So this bone, they helps in the conduction of the sound wave from the external ear to the inner ear. Okay. Malleus, incus, steps. So these are the three small bone, okay, present in the middle ear cavity. So they help in the conduction of sound wave. Conduction of sound wave from tympanic membrane, actually so we can say the external ear or tympanic membrane to the inner ear. Tympanic membrane to the inner ear. So if you see the ear, so there is the outer ear or external ear. So in the external ear, there is the movement of the sound wave in the ear medium. So there is the ear conduction is there in the outer ear. In the middle ear, there is the conduction of sound wave in the solid medium. That solid medium, that is the malleus incus steps, that is the bone. So it amplifies the sound wave in the middle ear cavity. Then in the inner ear, so sound wave travel along the liquid medium. Okay, that while reading the ear, you will got to know this thing. So there is the role of hearing is there. So bone also helps in the hearing also. So the malleus incus steps, they are the bone only. So they are the ear ossicles. So they have role in the traveling of the sound wave. Okay, so they have got a role in the hearing also. Then the articulation of the Y and the ear conditioning. See, if you see in the bone, so some bone in the face, there are some bone are there, they have got a sinus, they have got a cavity within it. Okay, so this cavity within it, see these are the paranasal sinus. Actually, see this the bone present around the nasal cavity. Okay, so this bone, they have the cavity within it. So this cavity, see they are the sinuses. So this sinuses, so around the nasal cavity, so they are the paranasal sinus. This paranasal sinus, so they will open into the nasal cavity only. And the lining of the paranasal sinus is the same as that of nasal cavity also. Then what will happen, see here, so ear articulation of the voice and the ear conditioning. See this ear conditioning, see that means so there are three functions is there. One is the temperature, maintenance of the temperature. Temperature maintenance is there. Okay. Then the next function is there, humidification. Humidification. And the next function is there to filter or purification. Purification. So that is the ear conditioning. So now see here. So what will happen? See, if you take the ear inside, see now in summer season that is okay, you will get the 1 ear inside. Now if you see in the winter season, see the ear which you inhale, that will be very cold. So what will happen? So this cold ear, so it has to be maintained at the normal temperature, or that is correspond with the body temperature. So the temperature of this cold air should be increased, or it has to make warm, isn't it? So that is the role of the cavities only. So this cavities, so if you see the nasal cavity, so there is the high blood flow is there. So highly vascular mucosa is there, so they makes the worm. So they makes the earworm. Even the sinus also they makes the earworm. Okay, then humidification. See, if ear is dry, so water content is added in that ear. And purification means there is the secretion of mucus in this cavity. So this mucus they will trap the dust particle and other foreign particle in that, so that the foreign particle it does not enter into the lungs. So that is the ear conditioning. So this cavity present in around the nasal cavity, that is the paranasal sinus, including the nasal cavities. Okay, so they are the cavities within the bone only. So nasal cavity is different, but the paranasal sinus they are the cavity within the bone only. So they help in the ear conditioning. Okay, this conditioning is these three functions: temperature, humidification, and purification. Plus articulation of the voice. So see here your vocal cord it will produce the voice. Okay, so this voice does not, okay, it does not give the meaning for that voice. Actually this vocal cord only produce the voice, that is the phonation only, and this voice it is converted into the word by the various structures present. So they are like palate, tongue, lip, even the teeth. Okay, so see here the main role of the sinus here, that is the resonance of the voice. So sometimes there is the high resonance, so that the voice is nasal, isn't it? So some person has got a nasal tone because there is the high resonance of the voice. So okay, so this resonance of the voice is also given by the sinus. So the sinus that is present in the bone only. So this bone is it also has got a role in the articulation of the voice. Okay. So that is actually the paranasal sinus. I am telling for the paranasal sinus. So this paranasal sinus, so they are the frontal, they are the maxillary, they are the ethmoidal and sphenoidal. Especially these are the paranasal sinus. Okay, this bone, frontal bone, maxillary bone, maxilla bone, ethmoid bone, and sphenoidal bone, they have got a cavity within them. Okay, so that cavity they have got some articulation of the voice, that is the resonance of the voice. Okay, then it also helps in the ear conditioning also, some role in the respiration also. So this last function of the bone, so this is the last function of the bone. Okay, so the bone may have got the role in the articulation of the voice, that is the resonance of the voice, and the ear conditioning also. Okay, so they are the main functions of the bone. Okay, so you can see here the middle ear cavity here, so there are the bones, so conduction of the sound wave. Here is the paranasal sinus, so you can see here frontal sinus is there, so these are the maxillary sinus, so they are the ethmoidal sinus, and here is the sphenoidal sinus. Okay, so they have got some role in the ear conditioning. Okay, not full role. Okay, the major role in the ear conditioning, there is the nose, nasal cavity is there. Okay, so some few role may be there, that is from the paranasal sinus. Okay, so this last function, there may be some role of the bone, I am telling. Now this is the hemopoietic activity from the red bone marrow. See, you can see formation of the all bone fiber by the bone marrow cell, that is the hemopoietic stem cell. Also here is to see formation of the body cavity by the bone and protection of the viscera. So the movement of the body. So you can see that is the role of the bone only. Here so attachment and the support. So that is by the bone only. Here you can see the framework, structural framework, that is by the bone only. So these are the function of the bone. Now we'll go for the next heading, that is the classification of the bone. Now see, we have got if we see in the modern, we'll get the 206 bone. Okay, so these bones we can categorize into the different heading. Okay, we can classify into different heading. So we can classify the bone according to the various bases. So see, first basis of classification, we can classify the bone on the basis of shape also. We can classify the bone on the basis of development also. We can classify the bone according to the structure also. We can classify the bone according to the region where they are present also. Okay, so these are the various bases of classification. So if you see the first basis of classification, now see here, we are classifying the bone on the basis of shape, their shape. We are going to see the shape of the bone and we are going to classify. So these are the classification of bone according to their shape. Now see, some bone are long. So long bone, short bone, flat bone, irregular bone, pneumatic bone, accessory bone, sesamoid bone, and the heterotopic bone. So these are the classification on the basis of shape. Just you copy this. Okay, individual we are going to deal in the next slide. Okay, so long bone. So in the long bone also, typical long bone, miniature long bone, and the modified long bone. And then what is the difference between this bone also? We'll read this thing also. So this is on the basis of the shape. Okay, one long bone, short bone, flat, irregular, pneumatic, accessory, sesamoid, heterotropic. So they are the on the basis of shape of the bone. So next is the developmental classification. Now on the basis of development, we can classify the bone under two headings. So that is the mode of classification, means how these bone are formed. One, next source of development, from where the bone are forming. Okay, one is the mode, so means how these bone are going to form, that is one basis. And next is the from where they are going to form, that is the next basis. So mode of development. Now see here, so mode of how these bone are going to form, we have got three types. So one is the membranous or the dermal bone, next is the cartilaginous bone, next is the membranocartilaginous bone. So they are the mode of formation. So membranous, cartilaginous, so membranous or dermal bone. So this bone they are formed without the formation of cartilage, or they will ossify in the mesenchymal membrane only. So cartilaginous bone means first they will form the cartilage, then from the cartilage bone will form, like that. So individually we will see this thing also. Next is the membranocartilaginous, means by the means of both. Okay. Next is the source of development, means from which part of the embryo bone is going to form. Okay, on the basis of that, the bone is classified into somatic bone and the visceral bone. Okay, so from if the bone is forming from the somites, so that is the somatic. If bone is going to form from the pharyngeal arches, so they are the visceral bone. That will deal later. Now next is the structural classification. So macroscopic and the microscopic. So on the basis of structure of the bone. So macroscopic, if we see the bone by our naked eye, that is due to the by on the basis of gross examination by the naked eye. So that is the macroscopic. So that may be the compact bone or the spongy bone or cancellous bone or trabecular bone. And microscopic, if you make a small slide and look under the microscope. So on the basis of that, so we have got this type of bone. So laminar bone, woven bone, fibrous bone, dentin and cementum. This dentin and cementum actually related to the teeth only. Okay, and woven and the fibrous bone, they are the fetal bone or healing bone. Okay, this laminar bone, they are the mature bone. Okay. Now regional classification. Now the basis of classification of the bones of the body on the basis of the site where they are present. So the bone may be present in the axis of your body, or the bone may be present behind the axis or outside the axis. They are the appendicular. Okay. So on this basis we are going to classify the bone. Now we'll see the individual basis of classification now. Now see here, classification of bone on the basis of shape. See, if you see the bone, okay, on the basis of shape, so long bone is there, short bone, flat, irregular, pneumatic, accessory, sesamoid, and heterotopic bone is there. Now first we'll see the long bone. Okay, what is the shape? What is the features of the long bone? So generally, the long bone has got a 2 ends and 1 shaft. Okay, so that is the 2 epiphyses and 1 diaphysis. So the upper end and the lower end, they are the epiphysis, and the shaft, that is the diaphysis. So this is the features of the long bone. Okay, so the 2 epiphyses and the 1 diaphysis. Just remember that the long bone has got a shaft and the 2 end. Are you getting? If bone is having the 2 end and the shaft, so that is the long bone. Now again in the long bone, so you have got a typical long bone, miniature long bone, and the modified long bone. Okay. Now see, if you see the typical long bone has got a 2 ends, that is the upper end and lower end, that is the epiphyseal end, and the middle portion, that is the shaft. So that is the typical bone. If the bone has got a 2 ends, that is the 2 epiphyseal end, and the 1 diaphysis, that is the shaft, that is the long bone. Okay. Miniature long bone. See, this miniature long bone means, so the bone is, it has got only 1 epiphyseal end. Okay, only one epiphysis is there. So only one epiphysis is there and the shaft is there. So that is the miniature long bone. Just you can write that. So it has got a only one epiphyseal end and shaft. Next is the shaft. In the modified bone, see, generally if you see the cross section of the bone, so bone you will find the medullary cavities. The bone will be hollow. Okay, this long bone will be hollow. So tube is there. So that is the medullary cavity. So some long bone they are modified, so they does not have got a medullary cavity. So see here the section of this bone there is no cavity. So these are the modified long bone. So if there is no more medullary cavity, means they are the modified bone. So typical long bone, it has got a two epiphyseal end and one shaft. Okay, and the shaft has got a medullary cavity. Then the miniature long bone, so it has got a one epiphyseal end and the shaft, and it has got a medullary cavity also. If you cut the bone, you will see the cavity inside that. Okay, so that is the miniature long bone. Next, modified long bone, that is the bone without the medullary cavity. So there is no medullary cavity in the bone. Okay, if you cut there, you will not see the cavity. So this is the modified. Now you have to know the example of this bone. Now see the example of typical long bone. So the typical long bone, they are the bone. See here, humerus, radius, ulna, tibia, fibula. Okay. So humerus, radius, ulna, tibia, fibula, femur. So they are the example of typical long bone. Long bone. Okay. Then the miniature long bone. So they are the example for this bone. So example of this long bone, they are the metacarpal, metatarsal, phalanges. Are you getting? Then the example of modified long bone, so that is the clavicle. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So they are the classification. That is the long bone and their example. Okay. So typical long bone, they are the example of the typical long bone. So if you see the typical long bone, it will have got a two epiphyseal end and the one shaft, that is the diaphysis. That diaphysis, there is the medullary cavity is there. Okay. Miniature, so only one epiphyseal end and the diaphysis, that is the shaft. Modified, here is no medullary cavity within the shaft. So that is the example is clavicle. Okay, are you getting? Now
Yes, sir.
just write this thing. Okay. Now next here, or shall I write for the long bone? So just for typical bone, see here. So two epiphyseal shaft, that is diaphysis. One medullary with medullary cavity within it. So this is the typical long bone. Okay. So next is the miniature long bone. So there is only one epiphysis and the shaft. That is the diaphysis only. Okay. Just I will write here shaft. Shaft cavity. So this is the miniature long bone. Then the next is the modified long bone. So here you will not find the shaft. Okay. So this is the an example I have already given. Okay, up to here. Now
Yes, sir.
Now next, see here, now next is the short bone. See, so the short bone, see here, this short bone, so this short bone may have got a different structure, okay, or it may have got a different shape. Now the shape of the short bone may be, so some may be like semilunar shape, some may be cuboid shape, some may be trapezoid shape, okay. So it has got a different shape, okay, different bone has got a different shape. Shape of this bone may be semilunar, boat shape, okay, cuboid shape, okay, trapezium shape, etc. Okay, so the shape of bone may be different. Okay, this type of bone they are the short bone. Okay, now see here the example of the short bone. So the carpal and the tarsal bone. Example for this bone is the carpal bone, that is for the upper limb, and the tarsal bone, that is the lower limb. So see here, so this is the carpal and the tarsal bone, that is the example of short bone. Now see here in the upper limb, see here this collar bone, can you see in the wrist region here? So they are the carpal bone. Now in the lower limb, can you see in this foot region? So these are the tarsal bone. Now see here in the number of carpal bone in each hand, you will find the 8 carpal bone in each hand. In the each foot you will find the 7 tarsal bone. Now see here, so this bone, this red color bone, so this is the scaphoid bone, this is the lunate bone, this is the tracheotoral bone, this is the pisiform bone. So see, scaphoid, lunate, tracheotoral, pisiform, okay. Then this is the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate, okay. So these are the bone. Just you remember the example, that is the carpal bone. Okay, the name of individual bone will read during the enumeration of the bone. Okay. Now just remember that these are the carpal bones. So they are the 8 carpal bone in each hand. So they are the scaphoid, lunate, tracheotoral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Okay. Then the tarsal bone. So there are 7 in each foot. So can you see this large one? So this is the calcaneus or calcaneum. So this yellow color, that is the talus. So this blue color, that is the navicular, and these 3 red color, that is the cuneiform, and this green color, that is the cuboid. Okay, so cuneiform 3 are there: middle cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and the lateral cuneiform. So just remember these are the tarsal bone. There are same in tarsal bone in each foot. Okay. Then the next bone, that is the flat bone. So this flat bone, see the bone, see this flat bone, they forms the boundary of certain body cavities. Okay, so they are the flat bones, and if you see the bone, they have got a flat structure. Okay, they will be flat. If you see this bone, they are flat only. So this flat bone, they forms the boundary of certain body cavities. Okay, so this you will find this flat bone. So the bone of the cranium. So the bone of the cranium, ribs, sternum, scapula, they are the example of the flat bone. So the bone of cranium means, so this bone, so frontal bone, parietal bone, occipital bone, temporal bone, okay, even the sphenoid bone, okay. So they are the flat bone. Actually, this sphenoid bone, it will come under the pneumatic bone also. Okay, so forget that sphenoid from here. So this pneumatic bone, that is the sphenoid bone, also the pneumatic, because it has got a ear filled space is there in that bone. Okay, so the most of the bone of the cranial vault, actually this cranial vault, okay, that is the roof of the cranium. So they are the flat bones. So this flat bone, generally they forms the boundary of certain body cavities. See here, ribs and the sternum, they forms the boundary of the thoracic cavity. See the bone of the cranium, they forms the boundary of the cranial cavity. Okay, so they are the flat bone. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then you may have got a class now of. Then we'll
Yes,
do
sir.
up to here today. Now see, we are reading the classification of the bone. Okay, so the long bone is already over, short bone is over, flat bone is over. So now next type of the bone. Okay, according to the shape, that is the irregular bone. So see, name only suggests that. See, the shape of this bone is irregular. It does not has got a definitive shape. Okay, and this type of bone actually present in the body where there is the maximum tension or pressure is there. Okay, so this bone it can bear the maximum tension and the pressure. So in this site only this irregular bone are present. So this bone they have got a irregular shape. They does not have got a definitive shape, and they are present at the site of the body where there is the maximum tension is there. Okay. So now see irregular bone you will find in the vertebra. Okay. In the vertebral column also the bone of the vertebral column, that is all the vertebra they are irregular bone. Similarly, all the bone of the facial skeleton. So this bone of the facial skeleton also they are the irregular bone. Even you will find the bone in the middle ear. So there are the three small bone in the middle ear. So they are called as the ear ossicles. So individually they are called as the malus, incus, and steps. So this bone are also the irregular bone. Plus in the wall of the pelvis, so the wall of pelvis is also formed by the irregular bone. So this is the hip bone. So hip bone is also the irregular bone. So this bone forms the boundary of the pelvis. So next, that is the hyoid bone. So the hyoid bone you will find in this neck region, junction between the floor of oral cavity and the beginning of the neck. So here somewhere. So this bone, hyoid bone, they are also the irregular bone. So they does not have got a definitive shape. Okay. So name only suggests that is the irregular. So they are present at the site of the body where there is the maximum tension is there. So it can bear the maximum tension. Okay. Or stress it can bear. Okay. So example of irregular bone. So bones of vertebral column. Okay. Then the facial bone of face or facial skeleton or bone of most of the bone of the facial skeleton. Okay. So some of the bone of facial skeleton there comes under the pneumatic bone also. That I will give the name for that bone. Then next see the bone of ear ossicle or so ear ossicle it consists of malus, incus, and steps. So they are the bone of middle ear cavity. Okay. Malus, incus, and steps. So they are the ear ossicles. Then the hip bone. You'll find the two hip bone. Okay, right and left hip bone. Okay, so that is also the irregular bone. Next one is the hyoid bone. They are the example of irregular bone. Okay. In exam, you have to write the example for the each type. Okay. Long bone example, short bone example, flat bone example, irregular bone example. Okay. So you can see this bone in the facial skeleton, this highlighted color, red color. So they are also the irregular bone. This is the hip bone. Okay. That forms the in this skeleton also you can see the irregular bone are highlighted here. So the main bone of the facial skeleton, so vertebral bone of the vertebra and the hip bone. See here they have highlighted here. So they all are the irregular bone. Okay, they can withstand the pressure or the stress. Okay. Then next is the pneumatic bone. So pneumatic means the bone having the ear filled space. So the bone, okay, it consists of the space that is filled with the ear and the lining of the that is space, that ear filled space or the sinus that is lined by the nasal mucosa. So see here. So see in the facial region you will find the pneumatic bone. So this pneumatic bone actually it consists of the ear filled space or sinus, and this sinus they are lined by the nasal mucosa. So they are the pneumatic bones. Okay. So ear-filled space is present, and the space or that is the sinus only. That ear-filled space, that is the sinus. Okay, lined by the nasal mucosa. So nasal mucosa this extend and lines the wall of the sinus also. So they are considered as the paranasal sinus actually. So see this pneumatic bone, they have got a space. Okay, in that space there is the ear is there, so cavity is there, the sinus is there, and that sinus, the lining membrane, that is the nasal mucosa, and the all sinus they will open in the nasal cavity. Okay, just remember this thing. So the cavity of this bone, pneumatic bone, they will open into the nasal cavity here, most of the bone, or most of the sinus. Okay, that is for paranasal sinus. So the cavity of paranasal sinus into the nasal cavity. Okay, so if bone consists of the ear filaments, they are the pneumatic bone. Now see the example. So you will find the pneumatic bone around the nasal cavity actually. So see here, so you will see this frontal bone. So in the frontal bone you will find the ear fill space, that is the frontal sinus. So the frontal bone is the pneumatic bone. Maxillary bone, so it consists of maxillary sinus. Similarly, ethmoid bone, so it consists of the ethmoidal ear sinus. Similarly, there is a sphenoid bone, so it consists of the ear fill face or sphenoidal sinus. So the example of this pneumatic bone, so frontal, maxillary or maxilla, ethmoid, sphenoid. Okay, but only few part of this frontal bone it comes under the pneumatic. Okay, most of the part that is the flat only. Okay, just you can write the maxilla, ethmoid, and the sphenoid. So they are the pneumatic bone because they consist of the ear filled space. Okay. Now next is the accessory bone. So see here. So now what is the importance of pneumatic bone? What is the function of this bone? So see, if bone is filled with the ear, means it makes the your skull lighter, isn't it? So they are the function. So this pneumatic bone, they make the skull lighter, and it also helps in resonance of the voice, and it also helps in ear conditioning. So that is the humidification, purification, and the temperature maintenance of the inspired ear. So that is the ear conditioning. So this is the function. So it makes the skull lighter. So it will make this skull part light. Then ear conditioning and also the resonance to the voice. Okay. So that is the function of pneumatic bone. Now next is the accessory bone. So they are actually, see, generally this bone accessory means, so generally they are not present. Sometimes they may be present. See how they will present, I will tell now. See here, sometimes there may be the development of extra ossification center. Okay, so due to that ossification center, the part of the bone will be ossified and it failed to unite with the main part of the bone, and they remain as a separate bone. Okay, so this type of bone, they are the accessory bone. Okay. Now see here, so accessory means they are not present. Normally they are not present in the body. Sometimes what will happen during the formation of bone, sometimes the extra ossification center may develop for the bone, and this bone, it failed to unite with the main part of the bone and it remain as a separate bone. So this type of bone, they are the accessory bone or supernumerary bone. Now see here, I will write for you. So generally not present. So this type of bone, they are not present generally. Okay. What happened during the ossification of the bone, the extra center of ossification, okay, develop. Okay, then what will happen? Then this, so the extra ossification center may develop. Now then what will happen? Then the bone, okay, formed with extra ossification center try to fuse with main bone. Okay, then what will happen? They remain as the separate bone, and this type of bone they are the accessory bone. Okay, they may fail to fuse with the main bone, then remain as separate bone. So this type of bone, okay, they are the accessory bone. Are you getting? Or supernumerary bone. Same thing, accessory. Generally they are not present, but sometimes what will happen? So sometimes for during the formation of one bone, sometimes there may be appearances of extra center for the ossification. Then what will happen? The bone will form but fail to fuse with the main bone. Okay, then it may exist as a separate bone. Now see here, can you see this skull bone here? So here is the frontal parietal bone are here, occipital bone are here. Now see here this small bone. So this small bone it exists as a separate bone. See, this is the sutural bone or wormian bone. So this is the accessory bone. Generally they are not present. Okay. So extra center of ossification may develop but it may fail to fuse with the main bone, and they exist as a separate bone. So they are the accessory bone. Now the example for this bone. So this is the example. So that is the sutural bone. The next name for this bone is the wormian bone. Then sometimes see here, so accessory bone, so many may be there, okay, in the body. So these all are the accessory bone only. I'm giving the few example only. Now see, these all are the accessory bone. Okay, they may develop in the different region of the body. Okay, now see here, for example, sutural bone. So few example I will give. Then os trigonum. So here you can see that this is the talus bone. So here see this, due to the formation of extra ossification center, the bone it remain as a separate bone. So this is the os trigonum. So this is lateral tubercle of the talus. Okay, are you getting? So these are the accessory bone. Okay, some few example I will give. Os. Okay, so see, this is the metacarpal bone is there. So see, this is the tuberosity of the fifth metacarpal bone. So this is again the accessory bone. Okay, os vesilinum. So this is the accessory bone. So next name for this, that is the tuberosity of fifth metatarsal bone. So os trigonum. So this is the lateral tubercle of talus. So they are the accessory bone. Okay, generally they should not be present in the body, but sometimes they present. Okay, due to formation of extra ossification center, and they fail to unite with the main bone, and they remain as a separate bone. Okay, so they are the accessory bone. Are you getting? They are the extra bone only. Okay. Normally they should not present, but sometimes they may present. So name that is the accessory bone. Now the next bone, so that classification of bone according to the shape, that is the sesamoid bone. Now see, sesamoid bone, actually see, these are the bone, they are developed in the tendon of the certain muscles. Okay, are you getting? So sesamoid bone, they are the bony nodules or the bone, they develop in the tendon of the certain muscle. So they are the sesamoid bone. So this sesamoid bone, actually they are formed after the birth only. Okay. Okay, they will not form before the birth, so they will ossify after the birth, and there is the no covering for the this bone, so there is the no periosteum. So you see the bone, it has got a covering, so the covering of the bone is the periosteum, but the periosteum is not present in case of sesamoid bone. Okay, so sesamoid bone, they are the bony nodules. Okay, develop in the tendon of certain. Okay, bone are developed in the tendon of the muscles. Okay, they are the sesamoid bone. They are the bony nodules only. And if you see this bone, so they will form after the birth only. So ossify means, the ossification means the process of formation of bone. Okay, ossification means process of formation of bone. So this bone, they will ossify after birth only. Okay, the terminology ossification means the process of formation of bone. Okay, so now see, they does not have periosteum, is not present. So the covering of the bone is periosteum, but there is no periosteum in the sesamoid bone. Okay, so now see, if you see the function of this bone, so if this bone, see here patella, so this is the sesamoid bone. Here see, actually this patella, it is developed in the quadriceps tendon. Now see, this function of patella is reduce the friction. Okay, it helps in reduction of the friction. It also helps in the alter in the direction of the pull of the muscles. Okay, so these are the functions. So function are reduce the friction, that is the function. Alter the direction of the pull of muscle. Okay, and they also increase the blood circulation also. Okay, so that can be added here. So these are the functions. The main function, that is to reduce the friction, and it also alters the direction of the pull of the muscles. Now see example. So if you see the example here, so the largest sesamoid bone, that is the patella. So that is the kneecap. So patella, just you can feel in your knee, there is the on sesamoid bone, you can feel. So that is the patella only. So this patella, that is developed in the quadriceps tendon. Quadriceps tendon. Okay. Then see here, you can see the pisiform bone. So pisiform, this is again the sesamoid bone. So this pisiform bone, this is developed in the tendon of. So here, so there is the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle is there. In that tendon only this bone is developed. So the tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris. Similarly, there is the fibula also. So this bone is developed in the lateral head of gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius muscle, that is the muscles of the back of the leg. Okay, so that is the gastrocnemius. So fibula, pisiform. So these are the example. Okay, you can see the sesamoid bone in the tendon of the flexor hallucis brevis also. See, this is the muscle, that is the flexor hallucis brevis. So in the tendon of the flexor hallucis brevis also, you may see the sesamoid bone. Okay, so this sesamoid bone, generally they develop in the tendon of the muscle. Okay, are you getting? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the sesamoid bone. Now next bone on the basis of the shape, that is the heterotopic bone. So this heterotopic bone, actually these are the bone, they develop in the soft tissue. If the bone, they are formed in the soft tissue, that is the heterotopic bone. Okay, so in the horse rider, okay, there may be the formation of bone in the adductor longus. Okay, so that is the heterotopic bone. So heterotopic bone means the bone they will form or ossify in the, or there may be the deposition of calcium in the soft tissue. Okay, so that is the heterotopic bone. So bone forming the soft tissue. Okay, so this generally see the horse riding people, okay, or horse riding person. So there may be the formation of bone in the adductor longus muscle. Okay, so they are the heterotopic bone only. Okay, are you getting?
Yes, sir.
So example, okay, in the horse or rider, there may be formation of bone in adductor longus muscle. Okay, so this type of bone, that is the heterotopic bone, and the bone formed in the adductor longus muscle, they are the rider's bone. Okay, that is the rider bone only. Okay, if bone is formed in the soft tissue, okay, they are the heterotopic bone. Okay, generally you may see the formation of the bone in the adductor longus muscle. This adductor longus muscle, that is the muscles of the medial compartment of the thigh. Okay, so the function is the adduction of the thigh. The name only suggests adduction, adductor longus. So adduction of the thigh. Okay, now so this is about the classification of the bone on the basis of shape. Now we'll see the classification of the bone on the basis of development. Okay, now developmental classification. Now see the developmental classification, again it is, we can see in two categories. So mode of development means how this bone is formed and from where the bone is formed. So on the mode of development and the source of development. Okay, from which source bone is forming, that is one. And next is the mode of development means from how the bone is going to form, that is the mode. Now see here on the basis of mode of development. Okay, now see here there are three type of bone: membranous bone or dermal bone, cartilaginous bone, and next is the membranocartilaginous. So membranocartilaginous means the bone will ossify in membrane and cartilage both. Now see here membranous bone or the dermal bone. See, if the bone ossified from the mesenchymal membrane without the formation of the cartilage, then this type of bone, they are the membranous bone or dermal bone or intermembranous bone. Okay, so see here, if the bone is formed by if the bone is if bone ossified directly by the membrane without formation of the cartilage base, other or cartilage directly you can write. If bone is directly forming from the mesenchymal membrane, okay, so this type of bone, that is the that type of bone, that is the membranous bone or dermal bone, and the mode of formation of the bone is intermembranous ossification. Okay, mode of formation of bone is intermembranous ossification, or the method of formation of bone or the mode of formation of bone, that the process of formation of the bone by the mesenchymal membrane without the formation of the cartilage. So this type of ossification is known as intermembranous ossification. So the bone is formed by the intermembranous ossification, okay, directly from the mesenchymal membrane without the formation of the cartilage, then this type of bone, okay, which is formed by this means, okay, intermembranous ossification, this type of bone, they are the membranous bone or the dermal bone. Are you getting?
sir.
Okay, if the bone is formed by the intermembranous ossification. So this is the method of formation. Okay, so if directly from the mesenchyma, bone is going to form. Directly in the mesenchyma, there is the formation of the matrix and there is the deposition of the calcium. Then directly it will form the bone, means that is the membranous. Now see, I'll tell about the cartilaginous, then you got to know about the difference between these. Then I'll give the example for the both. Now see this is the membranous ossification is like this. Now see, if you see the cartilaginous ossification, see the bone will ossify into cartilage. First, what will happen from the mesenchymal membrane? Cartilage will form, and in that cartilage only this cartilage will ossify into bone. So this type of mode of formation of the bone, that is the endochondral ossification. Okay, now see here, if the bone, see, first what will happen, the mesenchymal membrane, it will convert into cartilage, then cartilage is convert into bone. So this type of ossification, that is the cartilaginous. But the membranous, directly mesenchymal membrane will ossify into bone. Are you getting? So if the bone is formed from the formation of the cartilage from the membrane, first mesenchymal membrane forms the cartilage, then cartilage is converted into bone. If the bone is formed from the if the bone is formed from the formation of the cartilage from the mesenchymal membrane, okay, so this type of bone, they are the cartilaginous bone. Okay, and the mode of formation or the process of formation, mode of formation of bone is known as endochondral ossification. Endochondral ossification. Are you getting? So the bone formed by the means of endochondral ossification, that is the cartilaginous bone, and the bone formed by the means of intermembranous ossification, that is the membranous bone. Are you getting difference? So first, mesenchymal membrane is there. If this membrane is directly converting into the bone without the formation of cartilage, that is the membranous. Now mesenchymal membrane is there. First it will convert into cartilage, then cartilage is converting into bone, that is the cartilaginous ossification. Are you getting? And flow chart I will write here. See, mesenchymal. Now mesenchymal, it is converting into cartilage, then cartilage into bone. So this is the cartilaginous. But in case of membranous, directly mesenchyma into bone. Okay, are you getting? Okay. Now see, we are reading the development of the bone, that is the mode of, on the basis of mode of development. So membranous and cartilaginous. Okay, now I'll give the example. Now see the example for the membranous bone or the dermal bone. Okay, now see the bone of the cranial vault and the facial skeleton. So they are the membranous bone. So they are formed by the intermembranous ossification. Okay, now see the example for the membranous bone. So the bone of vault and, so they are the example for the membranous bone. So they are formed by the intermembranous ossification. Then the next, so cartilaginous bone. So the cartilaginous bone, see, most of the bone of the body. So the bone of the limbs. So that is the upper limb and lower limb both. Then the bone of the vertebral column. The bone of the vertebral column, rib and ribs. Ribs, okay, even the sternum. So they are the cartilaginous bone. Okay, so this bone, they are formed by the endochondral ossification. The process of ossification, that is the endochondral. So this bone are the cartilaginous bone. Then the next, that is the membranocartilaginous. Now see here. Now there is the both type of ossification is there. Intermembranous is also there. Endochondral is also there. So this bone, this membranocartilaginous bone means this bone, they are ossified partly by the membranous and partly by the cartilaginous process or cartilaginous process of ossification. So that is the partly by the intermembranous ossification and partly by the endochondral ossification. Are you getting? So membranocartilaginous bones means, so this bone ossified partly by intermembranous ossification and partly by endochondral. So there will be, you will find the both type of ossification in this type of bone. So these bones, they are the membranocartilaginous bone. So the example for this bone, so that is the clavicle, mandible, occipital bone, temporal bone. So you will find the both type of ossification in this bone. So they are the membranocartilaginous bone. Okay. So you will find the both intermembranous ossification also and endochondral. In some part of the bone they are ossified by the formation of cartilage, and some part of the bone they are directly formed from the mesenchymal membrane. So they are the, there you will find the both type of ossification. Those, they are the membranocartilaginous bone. Okay. Okay up to here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now see here. So see here. So membranous bone or dermal bone. So the bone of the cranial vault. So cranial vault means that is the roof. Okay. Then the bone of the facial skeleton. So they are the membranous bone. Okay. So this is the example. So membranous bones, the bone of the cranial vault and the bone of the facial skeleton. Next is the cartilaginous bone. So these are the examples. So the bone of the vertebral column, ribs, bone of the upper limb, bone of the lower limb also. Okay. So these are all the from the cartilaginous bone. These all are the cartilaginous bone. Okay. First cartilage is formed and that cartilage is converted into or ossified into the bone. Then the next bone. So you can see this is the membranocartilaginous bone. So these are the bone. Okay, they are ossified in by the means of both. Okay, so clavicle, mandible, occipital bone, temporal, and some part of the squamous bone also. Okay, so they are the by the means of both. Just remember, okay, which type of ossification will occur in which type of bone. Okay, just remember that and remember the examples. Okay. Then now see the developmental classification of bone. The next method, that is the on the basis of source of development. Just we have seen the mode of development. Now we will see the source of development. Okay, from which source bone is going to form. Okay. Now see here on the basis of source of development we have got a two type of bone: somatic bone and the visceral bone. Okay. Now see this. Somatic bone means the bone that are derived from the somates. Okay, they are derived from the somates. So see, you can see this segment here. So these are the somates only. So if the bone are forming from these somates, so these are the somatic bone. Okay, so if you see the development of the embryo. Okay, so the axial, we are reading the developmental classification. Next, that is the source of development. So on the basis of source of development, only two type of bone, that is the somatic bone and next is the visceral bone. Now see here, so for the bone there are two sources of development. One is the somates. Okay, next is the pharyngeal arch. Okay, now see here, if you see the development, so the intramembranic, see this intraembryonic mesoderm, okay, it will split into three: lateral, intermediate, and the axial. So this axial mesoderm, it will split into the somates. Okay, now this somates, again each somate it will divide into three. Okay, so it will divide into the dermatome, sclerotome and myotome. Okay, myotome will form the muscle, sclerotome will form the skeletal element, okay, bone and cartilage. Then the dermatome that forms the dermis. Okay, now see here. So if the bone they are derived from the or formed from the somites, so this type of bone they are the somatic bone. If the bone they are going to form from the pharyngeal arches, then this type of bone they are the visceral bone. Okay, now see here, I'll write for you. So if the from the somites and somatomeres, this type of bone they are the somatic bone. Okay, that is the somatic bone. Now if the bone formed from the pharyngeal arch, then this type of bone they are the visceral bone. Okay, now see here. So see here, so this part, so this is the pharyngeal arch only. So you can see here, so they are the bronchial arch or the pharyngeal arch. If this region, from this, if the bone is formed, so they are the visceral bone. If the bone are formed from the somites, so you can see the segmentation of the axial mesoderm, axial intraembryonic mesoderm, this segment. So these are the somites only. If the bone are formed from this somites, then and the somatomere, then the bone is the somatic bone. Okay, most of the bone of the body they are the somatic bone. Okay, now I'll give the example for the visceral bone, then the remaining all are the somatic. So the example for this bone, now see here, so this bone, these are the somatic bone. Okay, now see here, so the ear ossicles, so the malleus incus steps, so they are the visceral bone. Even the mandible is the visceral bone. Even the maxilla is the visceral bone. Hyoid is the visceral bone. Okay, now see here. Ear ossicles, then the mandible, hyoid bone, even the maxilla, even the zygomatic bone. Okay, most of the bone in the facial region. Okay, even the zygomatic bone. Okay, here some part of the temporal bone. This is the styloid process that is from also. They are also from the pharyngeal arch only. So this styloid process that is the part of temporal bone only. Then the zygomatic bone. Okay, these are the visceral bone. Okay, then the remaining bone. So the bone of the vertebra, bone of the thoracic case, bone of the limbs, they are the somatic bone. So bone of the, that means all the remaining bone except this bone. Okay, vertebra, thoracic case. So these are the somatic bones. So if bone are derived from the somates or somatomere, so they are the somatic bone. If the bone is derived from the pharyngeal arch, they are the visceral bone. Okay. Then the next, see, you can see here in the diagram. See here in the diagram, see. So see, these are the bone derived from the pharyngeal arch. See here, this is the pharyngeal arch. So 1, 2, 3. See here. So these are the pharyngeal arch. So from this, if bone is derived, so they are the visceral bone. If the bone is derived from this somites, so they are the somatic bone. Now, next. So here, see, you can see here. See, this is the somite is here. Okay, so see, the somite is first divided into 3. So dermatome, myotome, and sclerotome. So this sclerotome it developed into the cartilage and the skeletal element, sclerotome. Okay, then the myotome it forms the muscles, and the dermatome it forms the dermis. So see, this whole thing, this is the somites only. Okay, see, this is the Now see, from here the skeletal muscle is forming, and from the sclerotome, see, vertebra is forming here. Okay, so if the bone is derived from the somates, they are the somatic bone. Next is the structural classification. So the structural classification, again two types. One is the macroscopic, next is the microscopic. Okay, from the naked eye examination, okay, we can see the structure of the bone, okay, how it is formed, okay, so that is the macroscopic with the gross examination. And next is the microscopic, that is from the microscopic level. Now see, macroscopic examination. So on the basis of macroscopic or the gross examination, we can classify the bone into two. That is the compact bone, and the next is the spongy bone or cancellous bone or the trabecular bone. Now, if you see the compact bone, so see this compact bone you will generally see in the cortex of the or cortical part of the shaft of the bone, and this part of the bone, that compact bone, it is like the ivory. Have you seen the tusk of elephant? That outer teeth of the elephant, it is like that, it is tough like that. So the cortical part of the shaft of the bone, that is the example of the compact bone. So this bone is very hard. Okay, so compact bone, so it is the hard, okay, or rigid part. Okay, gives the bone so compact, it is the compact or hard part of the bone. So it makes the bone hard and rigid. Okay, now see, this type of bone you will find in the cortex of shaft of bone. So see here in this diagram you can see here. So see, if you see the long bone, okay, if you see the long bone it has got a two end, upper end and the lower end, and the middle portion, that is the shaft. Okay, and this shaft, middle portion of the shaft, is the outer covering, you will find the periosteum. Just beneath the periosteum, the part of the bone, that is the cortex, and the inside there is the lumen is there, so that is the medullary cavity. So you will find this compact bone in the cortex of the shaft of the bone, and this cortex part, it makes the bone hard and rigid. Okay, are you getting? So the structure is hard, but if you see under the microscope, it is extremely porous. Okay. So if you see the arrangement of the lamina in the compact bone, so it has got a eversion system. Okay. Eversion system. Okay. See, this is the arrangement of the lamina. Okay. So see, so in the eversion system, what will happen? There is the concentric arrangement of the bony lamina or the osteon around the eversion canal. Okay, so it makes the bone hard, but the bone is porous. Okay, you can see here, this is the, see in the below, in the left side, can you see? So this, can you see this concentric arrangement of the lamina? So this is the eversion system. Okay, so if you see compact bone under the microscope, you will see like this. So this is the compact bone. So or the cortical bone or the cortex of the bone. So the cortex of the bone, that is the example of compact bone. Okay, are you getting? So this system, that is the eversion system only. So this is the arrangement, concentric arrangement. So one lamina is arranged here. So see, they are the lamina, okay, of the bone. So this is the compact bone. Now next is the spongy bone or cancellous or the trabecular bone. Now see, the bony lamina forms the trabecular meshwork in the cancellous bone. So in the spongy bone, the lamina forms the meshwork of the trabeculae. Trabeculae. And this trabeculae, see, these are the bony trabeculae only. So, they are the bony trabeculae. And see, in the trabeculae, you will find the space. So, this trabeculae, so this trabeculae encloses the space. Okay, so this space, they are the marrow space only. Okay, so the trabeculae encloses the marrow space here. See here, so they are the trabeculae. This white portion is the trabeculae, and this alveolus portion, this is the marrow space where you will find the red bone marrow. Okay, so trab, okay, between the trabeculae. So in this marrow space, you will find the red bone marrow. So space. Okay, so you will find the red bone marrow. So there is the trabecular arrangement. So this type of bone, that is the trabecular bone or the spongy bone. See, especially you will see the spongy bone in the two end. Okay, two or the epiphysis of the long bone or the epiphyseal part of the bone. You will find the spongy bone. So this is the spongy bone only. So similarly, in the next end also there is the spongy bone, but in the diaphysis you will find the compact bone. Are you getting? So this spongy bone, so it can resist the compressive force, whereas this compact bone, it can resist the tensile force and the compressive force both. Okay, this spongy bone, it can resist the compressive force. So this type of trabecular arrangement, okay, it can resist, means that is the spongy bone, that is for the compressive force, whereas the compact bone, it can resist the compressive and the tensile force both, and even the shearing force also. Okay, so you will find the spongy bone in the epiphyseal end of the bone. Okay, you will find the compact bone in the diaphysis or the shaft. Okay, now for this I will tell you something here. See, okay, see here in this picture here, suppose this is the, okay, let me draw next picture here. Okay, suppose this is the bone, okay, shaft of the bone, and you will find the upper end of the bone somewhere here. Suppose this is the upper end, and here is the lower end. Okay, now see here. Okay, so this is the, okay, suppose this is the structure of bone. Okay, now see, this is the upper end. So this is the upper end of the bone. So this is the lower end of the bone, and this middle part, so this is the shaft of the bone. So you will find the compact bone in the cortex of the shaft. Okay, in this part. So you will find the spongy bone in the two end, upper end and the lower end. This upper end, they are the epiphyseal end. So this is the epiphyseal end, and this lower end also epiphyseal end, and this middle end, this is the diaphysis. So now see the upper part, that is the epiphysis. Then the middle end is the diaphysis, and the lower end is again the epiphysis. So this is the part of mature bone, okay, in the adult. So epiphysis upper end, diaphysis this is the shaft of the bone, epiphysis that is again the lower end also, that is the epiphysis. Okay. So diaphysis, in the diaphysis you will find the compact bone, you will find the spongy bone in the upper end and the lower end. That is on the epiphysis you will find the spongy bone or trabecular bone. Okay. That is epiphysis. This is upper end, this is lower end, and the diaphysis. So the upper end and lower end, that is the epiphysis, epiphyseal end, and the middle, that is the shaft of the bone, that is the diaphysis. Okay, remember this much. Then next, this is the macroscopic. Now next is the microscopic. Okay, so see here microscopic again. So it has got a different type. So microscopic classification, that is the laminar bone, woven bone, fibrous bone, dentin, and the cement. So this dentin and the cement. So this example for this dentin and the cement, that is the teeth. This you can write directly here. Then the fibrous bone and the woven bone you will find in the developing bone or the fetal bone. Okay. This fibrous bone, it is present in the fetus, okay, growing bone actually. So if you see the bone in the fetus, they are the fibrous bone. Okay. Then the woven bone, this is again the bone that is in the fetus during the development. Okay. And also you will find in the healing, during the healing of the bone also. Okay, that is the woven bone. Okay. Then the laminar bone, see this laminar bone means, so both the compact and the spongy bone, they are the laminar bone. Are you getting? So in the laminar bone, the lamina of the bone, either they are arranged in the concentric manner. You can see in this below picture here. So this black color, that is the Haverson canal. Around this canal, so there is the concentric arrangement of the lamina. Okay. Now see next Haverson system. Next Haverson system. Okay. So if bone are arranged in the concentric lamina, okay, or the Haverson system of arrangement of the bony lamina is there, or there is the trabecular arrangement of the bony lamina is there. This type of bone is the laminar bone. So the both the compact bone and the spongy bone, they are the laminar bone. This is the microscopic classification. If you make the slide and look under the microscope, so you may see the Haverson system of arrangement of the bony lamina. In case of compact, in case of spongy, you see the trabecular meshwork of the bony lamina. So this both will come under the laminar bone. Remaining woven and the fibrous bone, they are the fetal bone. Okay. Then the dentin and the cementine, this is in the teeth. Okay. Now see here. So see here in this picture, you can see this is the trabecular arrangement. So there is no particular arrangement. Okay. So this is the trabecular bone. Okay. Now next here is the concentric arrangement is there. So this is the Haverson system of arrangement. So this bone, both type of bone arrangement of the bony lamina, okay, it comes under the laminar bone. So the example for the laminar bone, so both the compact and the spongy bone. Then the woven bone, fibrous bone, they are the immature bone or the fetal bone during the fetal life. Dentin and the cementine, this is the teeth. So you can see the woven bone example here. So this is the woven bone. So they does not have got a particular arrangement of the lamina. So this is the laminar bone. See, this is the concentric arrangement of the lamina. So the fetal bone. So the fetus bone. So they are the fibrous bone. Now dentin and cementine, the bone of the teeth. So here you can see the dentin. Okay. So in the visible part of the teeth here, just below the enamel. And in the root of the teeth, this dentine part, that is replaced by the cement. So this portion, so these are the dentine and cement. This is about the classification of bone on the basis of structure. Now next, the classification of bone on the basis of region. So now on the basis of regional classification, we have got two type of bone. Either the bone is axial bone or the bone is appendicular bone. So this axial bone means the bone present along the axis of the body or in the central part of the body. So they are the axial bone, and the appendicular bone means the bone they are present in away from the axis. So they are the appendicular bone. So the bone of the upper limb and the lower limb, they are the appendicular bone, and the bone of the skull, vertebra, and the thoracic case, they are the axial bone. You can see in this diagram here. So this blue color bone, so they lies in the axis of your body, isn't it? Central axis of the body. So these are the axial bone. So bone of skull, bone of vertebra, and the bone of thoracic case. So they are the axial bone. Appendicular bone, they lie away from the axis of the body. So they are the appendicular bone. So the bone of upper limb and the bone of lower limb, they are the appendicular bone. Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Then so yesterday we completed the classification of bone. Okay. Now we'll go for the enumeration of the bone. Okay. So the total number of the bone we are going to see in the body. Okay. So there are 206 bone. Okay, according to the modern science. Now we are going to name this bone. Okay. Now see here, the bone of the body, they are categorized into two groups. Okay, that is the axial bone or the axial skeleton, and next is the appendicular skeleton. You can see in this below diagram here. So this blue color, okay, the bone in the blue color that represents the axial skeleton, okay, that lies along the axis of your body. Whereas this red color bone, you can see this. So these are the bone of appendicular skeleton. Okay, now we are going to see the number of bone in the body. Now see, we have categorized into two groups, axial and the appendicular. Okay, so axial 80 are there, appendicular 126 bone are there. Now which all bone comes under the axial skeleton we will see. Then we will see the bone which comes under the appendicular skeleton. Okay, now see here. So the bone of axial skeleton, okay, it can be further classified into the bone of head, bone of trunk, and the hyoid bone. Okay, so this is the head region. Okay, so the bone of head, bone of the trunk, okay, and the one more is the hyoid bone. So that you will find in the junction between the floor of the oral cavity and the beginning of the neck. Okay, here somewhere. So now we'll see. Now how many bones are there in the head? How many are there in the trunk? How many? Okay, in how many hyoid bone is there? We'll see this thing. Now see here. Now we'll go for the bone of head first. Okay. So now see the bone of head. Okay, first. Okay, just you have to write this thing. Okay, now the bone of head. So there is 22 plus 6. Okay, now how 22 and how 6? Now see here, the bone of head, again we can divide into 2. Okay, in the head region we will find the 22 plus 6 bone. Okay, so this 22 plus 6 bone, that is actually the skull bone. Then next is the ear ossicles. Okay, so that is the bone of head. So skull, so it consists of 22 bone. Just you write this. Okay, and the ear ossicles 6 bone. That is 3 in 1 ear, 3 in 1 ear. So that is 6. Here I will write 3 plus 3. That is better. Is equal to 6. Okay, now these are the bone of head. Okay, now we'll go for the skull bone. Okay, now in the skull, okay. Now see, the bone of skull again can be divided into two groups. Okay, one is the cranial bone, next is the facial bone. Cranial bone and the facial bone. Out of this 22 skull bone, again we can classify into two groups, cranial bone and the facial bone. So this cranial bone actually that forms the brain box. Okay, so that is the neurocranium. Neurocranium, facial bone, that is the viscerocranium. Okay, now see here, so the neurocranial bone, so that forms the brain box. Okay, just I'll write here. brain box. So this cranial bone that forms the one cavity, that is the cranial cavity, that encloses the brain. So that cranial bone we can consider as the brain box. Okay, this cranial bone forms the brain box, inside which there is the brain. Now, how many cranial bone are there? So there are total 8 cranial bone. Okay, and the facial bone, there are 14 facial bone. Now 8 plus 14, that is 22 bone in the skull. Okay, are you getting up to here? Now see here. Now we will name the individual cranial bone now. Okay. Now see the individual 8 cranial bone in the skull. That is, now see here, frontal bone. Frontal bone. Next is the parietal bone. Next is the temporal bone. Next is the sphenoid bone. Next is the occipital bone, and the finally that is the ethmoid bone. Ethmoid bone. Now, how many frontal bone? Only one frontal bone. So there are 2 parietal bone. So there are 2 temporal bone. There is only one occipital bone. Sphenoid bone. There is only one occipital bone, and there is only one ethmoid bone. Okay. Now, how many together? See, 2, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these 8 are the cranial bone. Now see, out of this cranial bone, only the parietal bone and the temporal bone, they are the paired bone. Okay, they are in pair. Remaining all are unpaired bone. Okay, are you getting? Temporal
Yes, sir.
and paired bone and unpaired. Are you getting up to here? Now see in this diagram here. So see this together. So this together, that is the bone of skull. Okay, now the bone of skull is divided into 2. So the bone of cranium, and next is the bone of facial skeleton. So these are the bone of the cranium or cranial bone. Now you can see this is the frontal bone, and this is the parietal bone. Parietal bone in this side also, in the next side also. So 2 are there. Occipital bone only single. So this is the temporal bone in this side also, in the next side also. So this is the sphenoid bone, only single bone. Okay, and then this is the ethmoid bone. Okay, so these are the cranial bone. Okay, only the temporal and the parietal, they are the pair. Remaining all are single. Okay, now we'll see the bone of the face, the facial bone, the 14 bone. Now see, these are the bone of the face. Okay, now what is the name of this bone? Now see here. So the bone of face, now see most of the bone of the face are paired bone. Okay, remain only 2 bone are unpaired bone. Now the first I'll give the name of unpaired bone. So that is the mandible, femur. So they are the unpaired bone. So they are in 1 number. Now remaining all bone, they are in pair. Okay. So the maxilla bone. So they are pair. Then zygomatic. Then the lacrimal bone. Then the nasal bone. Then the inferior nasal concha. Then the palatine bone. So these all bone are, so they are in 2 in number. So maxilla is also 2, zygomatic also 2, lacrimal bone also 2, nasal bone also 2, inferior nasal concha also 2, palatine bone also 2. So how many? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. Now see, out of this bone, okay, out of this facial bone, so mandible and femur are unpaired and remaining are paired. Okay, so this is for the facial bone. So out of 14 facial bone, only mandible and femur are unpaired bone. Remaining all are paired. But in case of cranial bone, only temporal and parietal are paired bone. Remaining all are unpaired bone. Just you have to remember this thing. Okay. Then the ear ossicles. So there are 3 ear ossicles in each ear. Okay. So the name of these 3 ear ossicles they are malus, incus, and steps. Steps. Okay, now so malus in 1 year only one, incus also one, steps also one. Okay, in 2 year, so there will be now 1 plus 1. 1 in 1 year, 1 in 1 year. Incus also same. So in 1 year 1, in next year 1. So steps also same. So 1 in 1 year and 1 in next year. So now they are in 2 in number. 2. So 2 and this is also 2. Are you getting? So in each year 3 year ossicles. So malus, incus, steps. So malus, incus, steps in next year. So total 6. So malus 2. 1 in 1, 1 in next year. So 2. Incus also 2, steps also 2. Like this. Okay. So these are the bone of the head. So see, you can see here the malus is here, incus is here, this is the steps. Okay, so these are the 3 ear ossicles. Okay, in each ear you will find 3. And these are the bone of the facial skeleton. You can see this blue color, that is the zygomatic bone. So this purple color, so that forms the nose. Okay, bridge of the nose. So or dorsum of the nose or the lateral surface of the nose. So this is the nasal bone is here. Okay, that forms the structural framework of the nose. Nasal bone. So this is the maxilla that forms the upper jaw. So this is the mandible that forms the lower jaw. This is the femur bone that forms the nasal septum. Oh, we cannot see that bone from outside. Okay, that forms the nasal septum. Lacrimal bone you can see in the middle wall of the orbital cavity. Okay. Then the palatine bone you will see in the palate. Just you can feel by your tongue. This hard palate. Okay, the roof of your oral cavity. So that there is the palatine bone is there. Okay. So now see here. So you have to identify the bone. Okay. Now see, this is the frontal bone. So this yellow color, this is the frontal bone only. So here see, this is the nasal bone. This in this portion. So am I visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see the video. Okay, now see here. So nasal bone is here. So just you can feel here. This is the nasal bone. Okay, frontal bone is this. Up to here, this is the frontal bone. Okay, so here in the cheekbone region you can feel this bony prominence. This is the zygomatic bone. Okay, in the diagram this is the zygomatic bone. This bluish color is the zygomatic bone. So this is the maxilla is here. That forms the upper jaw. Okay, so this is the lower jaw that is formed by the mandible. So this is the mandible. In diagram you can see the mandible here. Okay, now the femur bone that will be inside only in the nasal septum. Okay, you cannot see from the outside. Now next bone is the palatine bone that forms the palate. Here, just you feel with your tongue. It's hard. That is the roof of your oral cavity that is formed by the palatine bone. Okay. Then the next bone, see, this is the parietal bone is here. This is the here is the parietal bone, and occipital bone is behind here. Behind. So only single occipital bone. Parietal is 2, right and left. In this region, that is the temporal bone is here. Okay. Now sphenoid bone, ethmoid bone. Okay, we cannot feel from this side because this sphenoid bone it lies in the base of the skull. Okay, below. And the ethmoid bone, again it lies inside only. We cannot feel. Okay, in some portion we can see here. So lacrimal bone we can see here. Okay, see this brown color, this little brown color bone. So this is the lacrimal bone is here. Just behind here is the ethmoid bone. Okay, we can see here. And this purple color, that is the sphenoid bone only. Okay, only the some part of sphenoid bone and some part of ethmoid we can see. Okay. So these are the bone. And one more is there, that is the inferior nasal concha. See here, this is the inferior nasal concha. Okay, that lies along the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. Okay, while reading the wall, that is the lateral wall, the structure of lateral wall. So that is also formed by the inferior nasal concha. So this is the inferior nasal concha. Two are there. Okay, but superior and the middle nasal concha, they are not the separate bone. They are the part of ethmoid bone only. Okay. Here ossicles you can see here, this is the malus hammer shape. So this is the anvil shape steps, and this is the stirrup shape steppings. So malus, so this is the incus, this is the steps. So incus, malus, incus, steps. So these are the three ear ossicles. So these are the bone of the head region. Okay. Now we'll go for the next. Now we'll see the bone of the trunk. Okay, so the bone of the trunk, so we'll see the bone of the vertebral column and we'll see the bone of the thoracic cage. Okay, now see here. Now see, so the vertebral column, you can see this colored bone here. So this is the vertebral column only. So this vertebral column is formed by the number of vertebrae are there. Okay, so many vertebrae are there, that forms the vertebral column. Okay, now if we see the bone in the vertebral column, okay. Now see here. So out of bone of the trunk, there is 51 bone in the trunk region. So out of that, 26 bone in the vertebral column. Now we are going to name the 26 bone of the vertebral column. Okay. Now see here. So first, that is the vertebral column. The uppermost part of the vertebral column. Okay, that is formed by the cervical vertebra. So cervical vertebra. Then the next, that is the thoracic vertebra. Then the next, that is the lumbar vertebra. Then next is the sacral vertebra. Then the coccygeal vertebra. So if you see the cervical vertebra, there are 7 cervical vertebra. If you see the thoracic vertebra, there are 12 thoracic vertebra. If you see the lumbar vertebra, there are 5 lumbar vertebra. If you see the sacral vertebra, there are 5 sacral vertebra. And if you see the coccygeal vertebra, there are 4 coccygeal vertebra. But see here, in adult, you will not see the 5 sacral vertebra, because see these 5 sacral vertebra. Okay, so these vertebra, they are fused together. Okay, these 5 sacral vertebra, they will fuse together. Okay, fuse together to form one sacrum. One sacrum. So now there is only one. So the sacrum, there is only one. Similarly, the 4 vertebra, the 4 coccygeal vertebra, they fuse together to form one coccyx. So now see here. So in the vertebral column, so 7 cervical vertebra is there, 12 thoracic vertebra is there, 5 lumbar vertebra is there, 5 sacral vertebra fused together to form one sacrum. So only one sacrum is there and one coccyx is there. Okay. So total how many? Just you add this 7, 12, 5, 1 and 1. Okay. So because they are fused together to form the one bony mass. So see here. So this upper brown color. So these are the cervical vertebra. So they are individual. Okay. So they are not fused. Okay. So 7 cervical, 7 thoracic vertebra. 12 thoracic vertebra. Similarly, 5 lumbar vertebra are there. Now, but the sacrum, so 5 sacral vertebra, they are fused together to form the one bony mass, that is the sacrum. and the four coccygeal vertebrae fused together to form the only one bony mass, that is the coccyx. Okay, so they are the bones in the vertebral column. So if you add that, maybe 26. Okay, so the 26. Are you getting? So they are the bone of vertebral column. Now next is the ribs. How many ribs are there? So we have got 24 ribs, isn't it? 12 pairs of ribs. So now next is the ribs. So there are 12 pairs, that is 24. Okay, 12 in one side, 12 in next side. In this side also 12 and this side also 12. So total 24. So see, numbering you can see here from 1 to 12 in one side and similarly in the next side also. So 12 pairs of the ribs. Now out of these 12 pairs of ribs, see, so we can classify the ribs into three groups. So they are the true ribs. Next is the false ribs, and next is the floating ribs. So the next name for the true ribs, that is the vertebroesternal ribs. The next name for the false rib, that is the vertebrochondral. Then the next name for the floating ribs, that is the vertebral. Okay, now see here. So the true ribs, false ribs, floating ribs. True ribs means they have got attachment, independent attachment with the vertebral column and the sternum. So anteriorly also they are separately attached with the sternum. Okay, see, first rib it is attached separately. Second also separately with the sternum. Similarly in the posteriorly, in the vertebra also they are attached independently. Okay, so this type of ribs which has got a independent attachment in the anterior and the posterior aspect. Okay, so anteriorly to the sternum and the posteriorly to the vertebra. So this type of ribs, they are the true ribs. False ribs means see vertebrochondral ribs. So posteriorly they are attached independently with the vertebra. Okay, but anteriorly see, so the anteriorly they are not independently attached with the sternum. Okay, they are actually anteriorly they are attached with the costal cartilage of a higher ribs. Okay, so 8 is attached with the 7. See, 9 is attached with the 8. 10 is attached with the 9. See, so they does not have got an independent attachment in the sternum. So this type of ribs. Okay, so they are the false ribs. Next is the floating ribs or vertebral ribs. So in this types of ribs, only the posterior attachment is independent. Means only they are attached with the vertebra in the posterior aspect. Anteriorly they are free. They are not attached with the sternum. See, you can see here 11 and 12 ribs. Anteriorly they are free. So these are the floating ribs. Only posteriorly they are attached with their respective vertebra. See, only posteriorly these are attached, but anteriorly they are free. Free. The anterior end is free. So you can see in this blue color they are the blue color they are the floating ribs. This green color, this okay, they are the false ribs. This red color they are the true ribs. So first to 7 they are the true ribs. Similarly 8, 19, 8, 9 and 10 ribs they are the false ribs. Okay, on the both side. In this side also, this side also. Okay. Then the floating ribs, that is the 11th and 12th of both sides. So this side also. So 11, 12 in this side, 11 and 12 this side. So these are the floating ribs. Okay. So total how many ribs? 24 ribs. Okay, that is the tubal piers. So next is the sternum. So only single sternum. So this is the sternum. Okay. So next bone in the trunk region, that is the sternum. Okay. So that is the single bone. Okay. See, you can see in the anterior midline of the thoracic cavity. So this is the flat bone actually. So sternum is the flat bone. Even the ribs are flat bone. Only the vertebra. So this vertebra, they are the irregular bone. You know this thing. So sternum only one in number. So this is the sternum. You can see this. So it has got a manubrium, sternal body, and the gyphoid process. So they are the part of the sternum only. Okay, just right here sternum single bone. So that forms the anterior midline of the thoracic cavity. Okay. Now see here, one more bone is there. So this bone, this is not the bone of trunk. Okay, so this is the bone of the axial skeleton. So bone of trunk is 51. So out of this 51, 26 that is the bone of vertebral column, 24 that is the ribs, and 1 is the sternum. So this together, that is the bone of the trunk. Now next bone of the axial skeleton, that is the hyoid bone. So you can see hyoid bone here. Just you can feel the hyoid bone here, just with the deep palpation here. Okay, just you can feel this bone. That is the horseshoe shaped bone present in the junction between the floor of the oral cavity and the beginning of the neck. So this is the hyoid bone. You can feel here. Okay, just you press slightly hard. Okay, just in this angle. Okay, just feel. So that is the hyoid bone. So this is the horseshoe shaped bone, single bone. And this hyoid bone, see, this is the only one bone present in the body which does not has got a bony attachment. So it is not related with the other bone. So it does not articulate with the other bone also. Okay. Okay, are you getting? And one more point for the vertebra. So see, you have seen the 7 cervical vertebra, 12 thoracic vertebra, 5 lumbar vertebra, isn't it? And the 5 sacral vertebra fused together to form the 1 sacrum, 4 coccygeal vertebra fused together to form the 1 coccyx. Now see, the vertebra, the first vertebra, it has got a name. The first cervical vertebra, that is the C1 vertebra, it has got a name. Okay, so name is the atlas. The first vertebra, the name of the first vertebra is the atlas. Then the name of the second vertebra, that is axis. So atlas, that is the name of first vertebra. That means the name of the first vertebra, that is first cervical vertebra. The name of the second cervical vertebra or the second vertebra, that is the axis. Just remember this. Vertebra. And there is the name for the 7 cervical vertebra also. Okay, vertebra prominence. Okay. So just remember, atlas is the first cervical vertebra, axis is the second cervical vertebra. Just remember this point. Okay. Okay, up to here, any confusion?
No, sir.
Okay. If any confusion, just ask now only. Okay. So hyoid bone in this region is there. The ribs are in the, that forms the wall of thoracic cavity. Sternum also forms the wall of thoracic cavity. Then the vertebra. Okay, that is the vertebra. You will find the 26 bone in the vertebral column. Okay. Now next. Now we'll see the appendicular skeleton. So the appendicular skeleton means the bone of the upper limb and the lower limb. So together forms the appendicular skeleton. Okay, now we'll see the first bone of the upper limb. So total appendicular skeletal bone 126 is there. So the bone of upper limb, that is 64. Okay, in both limb. Okay, 64. So together 64. Okay, that is 32 in 1. Okay, now see here how that is 64. Now what are the name of the bone in the upper limb? Now that I will tell. Now see the bone of upper limb. Now see here the bone of the upper limb. See, so the upper limb is connected with the axial part or the trunk of the body by the help of 2 bones. Okay, they are the bone of pectoral girdle. So the bone of the pectoral girdle, there are two in number. Okay, first that is the bone of, so the bone of pectoral girdle. So they are two in number. Okay, two in one. In one limb two. In the next limb also they are in two. So 2 plus 2. Are you getting? So two bone in this side, two bone in this side. So now what is the name of these two bone? Now see here. So the name of these two bone, that is the clavicle. Clavicle. So next is the scapula. So clavicle in this side 1, in this side 1. So 1 plus 1. Scapula also 1 and 1. So clavicle 1 plus 1. Scapula also 1 plus 1. So these two are the bone of pectoral girdle. Okay. So total how many? This is total 4, isn't it? So clavicle, see, pectoral girdle bone 2, clavicle and the scapula. So clavicle 2, scapula 2, total 4, isn't it? So this is the clavicle. You can see in the diagram this. So the clavicle is this. So the only one horizontal bone, sorry, only one long bone present in the horizontal manner. Okay. So most of the long bone, they are present in the vertically, but only one long bone which is present horizontally, that is the clavicle. Okay, that may be the Viva question. So only one bone which is long bone which is present horizontally. So you can feel the clavicle here. Okay, so it is the horizontal bone and it is the type of long bone, modified long bone. And the scapula, so you can see this here, shoulder blade, so that is the scapula here. Okay, you can feel that bone also. So scapula, so it is the flat bone. Okay, one in each side. So these two consist of the pectoral girdle. Now next bone, that is the bone of arm. In the bone of arm, on the arm region, only one bone you will see. So in the one arm, one, in the next arm, one. Okay, so that the bone of arm, I'll give the name, that is the humerus. Humerus. Okay, so the name of the bone of the arm. So in this region you will find the one bone, so that is the humerus. Okay, that is the bone of arm. Okay, so 1 plus 1, 1 in one arm, 1 in one arm. So total 2. Then the next, after arm there is the forearm, or arm is also known as brachium. Okay, so the bone of brachium or the bone of arm, same thing. Now next is the bone of forearm or bone of antebrachium. So bone of forearm. So you can see in this diagram, so this is the humerus. Now we are going to see the bone of forearm. So this is the forearm region. Now see here you will see the two bone, isn't it? So the bone of forearm, you will find 2 in each. So 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Okay, now how this 2? Now see here. So the bone of forearm, you will find the radius bone, 1 in each limb. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Then next is the ulna. Again this is 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So total how many? 4. 2 radius, 2 ulna. Together that is the bone of forearm. Total 4. Now see here. So see, you can see in the one arm there are 2 bones, isn't it? So one bone in the lateral aspect, one bone in the medial aspect. So these are the 2 bones. So the bone which is present laterally, that is the radius. So it is present laterally, or in bracket I will write here. So lateral bone. Whereas the ulna, that is the medial bone. So the ulna is the medial bone of forearm. So see, in the anatomical position, see here. So this is the small finger. Towards the side of the small finger, the bone is the ulna, and towards the side of the thumb. So the bone, that is the radius. So in the anatomical position, radius is laterally, ulna is medially. Okay, just remember this thing. Now next is the bone of hand. So if you see the bone of hand, So in the hand region, you will see the carpal bone, metacarpal bone, and the phalanges. So in each hand, you will see the 8 carpal bone. Okay, 8 plus. So first, I am telling for this hand. Now see here. So in the hand region, you will find the carpal bone that lies in the wrist region. You will find the metacarpal bone that lies in the palm, and the wrist bone, that is the phalanges, that lies on your digits. Okay, so carpal, metacarpal, phalanges. So we have got a 8 carpal bone in each hand. Okay, then we have got a 5 metacarpal in each hand. Then we have got a 14 phalanges in each hand. Okay, so together into 2 hands, we have got a 2 hand, isn't it? So into 2. So these are the bones of the hand. So 8 carpal, 5 metacarpal, and the 14 phalanges in one hand. So now into 2. 2. Now see here, we will name the each bone now. So carpal bone. So the how many carpal bone? Total 8 plus 8. 8 plus 8. Isn't it? Thus you can multiply this and you can write here. So the carpal bone, that is the 8 plus 8. So 8 in each hand. 8 in each hand. 8 plus 8. So is equal to 16. Now we have to name each carpal bone. Okay, now see here. So the carpal bone in the hand, okay, they are arranged in 2 rows. 4 in upper part, that is the proximal row, is formed by the forebone, and the distal row is formed by the forebone. Okay, now I will give the name of this bone. Now see here, the 8 carpal bone, just in bracket I will write here. So the proximal row, so from lateral to medial I will tell. Proximal row, in order only we have to write, okay? Proximal row from lateral to medial. Similarly in the distal row also, lateral to medial I will write here. So the first bone in the lateral side in the proximal row, that is the scaphoid. Okay, scaphoid. Then the next to scaphoid, lunate. Next to lunate, that is the tricuteral or tricutum. Or tricuteral also. Then the pisiform. Pisiform. This is in the proximal row. Now similarly in the distal row, again I will write in bracket from lateral to medial. Okay, so scaphoid, lunate, tricuteral, pisiform. Then the next is the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. So the next is the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Yes. So we are reading the carpal bone, isn't it? So in each hand you will find the 8 carpal bones. So these are the 8 carpal bones. See these carpal bones, see they are arranged in 2 rows. Okay, from lateral to medial I am writing the name. Okay, so in anatomical position from lateral to medial, the proximal row and the distal row. So I have written in same order. So see this upper 4 bone, they are the bone, carpal bone in the proximal row, and the lower, they are the bone in the distal row. In bracket I will write here. Okay, so they are the proximal row. Okay, from lateral to medial. Okay, similarly this below bone. Okay, okay, now see here. So this is the proximal row and this is the distal row. So next is the distal row, again from lateral to medial. From lateral to medial. Okay, so now this is the proximal row. Just write in like this only. Okay, scaphoid, lunate, tracuteral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Okay, similarly in the next hand also. So see here. So the scaphoid bone that has got a shape like boat shape. You have seen the boat, na? It has got a like a boat shape. So lunate, it has got a like half moon shape, half moon shape. So lunate. Then the tracheotoral, so this bone, it has got a like pyramid shape. Okay, pisiform, it has got a like P shape, like matricosa, you know, na P shape. Then this trapezium, it has got a like quadrangular shape. Then trapezoid, it has got a shape like the shoe of baby. Okay, so trapezoid. Capitate, this is the largest carpal bone. Just you write that. So it is the largest carpal bone with rounded head. Then the hamate, it is the wedge shape. So these are the carpal bone. So this is in one hand, similarly in the next hand also. So now in see in the diagram, can you see in this diagram? So see, this is the scaphoid is here. So from lateral to medial we are going to see here. Just I will write here. So this is the lateral and this is the medial. And this is the proximal row. See, arrangement, see, this is the proximal row and this is the distal row. So in the proximal row, see, who are there? Scaphoid bone, lunate bone, tracheotoral bone, and this pisiform bone. Okay, this pisiform, that is the sesamoid bone, isn't it? At the tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris. So pisiform. Next is the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. So the this capitate, this is the largest carpal bone. Just remember this. Okay. Now there is one formula to remember this. So I'll write for you here. So see here. Pretty or pretty, you can write anything. Okay, now see here. So this is the bone of proximal row and this is the bone of distal row. See, only see the initial letter. Okay, S for scaphoid, L for lunate, T for tracheotoral, P for pisiform. Then next T for trapezium, T for trapezoid, C for capitate, and S for hamate. So just remember, C looks too pretty. Try to catch her. Okay. So that is the formula for reading, and this is in order only from lateral to medial. So this upper, that is the proximal, and this is the distal. Thus you can note it. Okay, up to here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the just formula only. Okay. So scaphoid, lunate, tracheotoral, pisiform, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and the hamate. So these are the 8 carpal bone in each hand. So similarly in the next hand also this bone are present. So total there are 8 plus 8, 16 carpal bone. Now see here the next, that is the metacarpal. We are reading the bone of hand. The carpal is over. Now the next is the metacarpal. Now see in metacarpal also. So this metacarpal that lies in your palm region. Okay. So you have got a 5 metacarpal in each hand. So 5 metacarpal in each hand. So 5 plus 5. So total there are 5 plus 5. So totally there are 10. So 5 in each hand. Okay. So in this hand 5, in this hand 5. So total 10. Okay. Now you don't have got a name of metacarpal here. So now numbering of metacarpal is there. Now see, you have to see from lateral to medial. Okay. Now see this hand. So here is the metacarpal bone is here. Now you cannot see here. Now see in the diagram. Can you see this green color bone here? This long bone, this green color long bone. So they are the metacarpal bone. Okay. So see here from lateral to medial. So this is the first metacarpal, second metacarpal, third, fourth, fifth. They have got name like that. So from lateral to medial, so name is first metacarpal, second metacarpal, third metacarpal, fourth metacarpal, and fifth metacarpal. Are you getting? So see, these are the metacarpal. This green color, this purple color, they are the carpal bone. This green color, they are the metacarpal bone. Okay, now the remaining this bone, they are the phalanges. Now, so okay, metacarpal. Now next is the next bone of the hand, that is the phalanges. Now see here, after metacarpal, phalanges. So there are 14 phalanges in each hand. So 14 plus 14 is equal to, the you right here, 28. Okay. Then now see, so how 14 phalanges, now see here. So see this, just below this green color, just below the metacarpal, these are all bone. Just I will encircle that bone now. See here. So these are all bone. These are all bone, they are the phalanges. Are you getting? So this bone, they are the phalanges. Now 14, how they, this bone are 14. Now see here, see in the thumb finger there are only 2, isn't it? 1, 2. Now remaining all finger there are 3 in each. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 in 4 fingers. See, index finger there are 3, middle finger there are 3, ring finger there are 3, small finger there are 3. Only 2 in the thumb finger. So total how many? 14 are there. Okay. Now see here. So the in thumb. So only 2 are there. So these 2 are the proximal and distal. See in the thumb, see this is the proximal phalanx, this is the distal phalanx. Similarly, in the index finger, so how many are there in index? 3. Okay, so these 3 are proximal, middle and distal phalanx. Distal phalanges or distal phalanx. Just I have that proximal, middle and distal. Okay, I have to write all here. Now see here, just you can add phalanges in the back. Okay. Then next is the middle finger or middle digit. Okay, just I'll add middle here. So in the middle finger there are 3. Okay, I'll add finger for Okay. So index finger Okay. Now see 3 are there. So again proximal. So in shortcut I will write now. Proximal, middle and distal. Similarly in ring finger also there are 3 phalanges. So the name, they are the proximal, middle and distal. Similarly in small finger, so there are 3, they are again proximal, middle and distal. So see here, so if you see the phalanges, see you can see the 3 different colors. So this upper pinkish color, okay, slightly pink color is there, so they are the proximal phalanges. Okay, now see you can see this brown color, so they are the middle phalanges. Then this below you can see this purple color. Okay, so they are the distal phalanges. So distal phalanges, they are present in all digits. Proximal phalanges, they are present in all digits. Only the middle phalanges, they are present in index, middle, ring and little finger. Okay. So total how many? 14 phalanges in each hand. Here is 14, here is 14. They are the bone of the hand. Okay. Now the next.
Yes, sir.
So now we'll go for the bone of lower limb. Now see, these are the bone in the lower limb. Okay, see, this is the lower limb is here. So these all are the bone of the lower limb. Now we have to name the bone. Now see, again the bone of the lower limb we can categorize into different groups. So the bone in the pelvic girdle, the bone in the thigh, bone in the leg, and the bone in the foot. Okay. Now see, so the first is the, now we are writing the bone in the lower limb. Okay, so in the lower limb you will find the 62 bone. Okay, so 31 in each. So we are categorizing the bone. Now see here, bone of pelvic. So this pelvic girdle, the bone of the pelvic girdle helps to attach the lower limb into the trunk. Okay. So in the pelvic girdle you will find 1 plus 1, 1 plus 1, 1 in each side. So there are 2 bones. So the name of that bone, that is the hip bone. So one hip bone in one side, one hip bone in next side. Okay. So the name of bone is the hip bone. Just I can write here directly hip bone. Okay. So 1 plus 1. Better I will write here. Okay. That is same thing. Okay. There you write or here you write. Same thing. So bone is one, hip bone is one side, one in the next side. So there are together 2 hip bones. Then the next, that is the bone of thigh. So in the thigh region, see, you will find only one bone in one leg. Okay, that is the femur bone. So this femur bone, one in each leg. So total 2. So here you can see this is the hip bone. So see, I will highlight this bone. See, this is the one hip bone. So this is one hip bone, and similarly, this is next hip bone. So this is the hip bone. So this middle portion, this is not hip bone, this is the sacrum, and this below portion, this is the coccyx, this is the bone of vertebral column. Okay. So this green color, just I will make it green here. So this is this green color. Okay. So I have encircled with the green color. So this is not the bone of lower limb. So this is the bone of vertebral column. Only this. So they are the bone of lower limb, that is the bone of pelvic girdle. Okay. Now next bone, that is the femur bone. So here you can see the femur bone here. So that single bone that is present in the thigh region. See this bone from here to here. This is the, so this is the femur bone. So the femur bone, it is the longest bone of the body. Okay, it is the longest bone of the body, that is the femur. So it is again the long bone. The hip bone, that is the irregular bone. Femur, it is the long bone. Now next, that is the bone of leg. So in the leg region you will find 2 bones. So 2 bones in each leg. So together there are 4 bones. Now see what are these bones. So tibia. So tibia you will see 1 in each leg. So together 2. Then fibula you will see 1 in each leg. So together that is 2. So the tibia here, that is the medial bone of leg, whereas the fibula, that is the lateral bone of the leg. So these both are the long bone only. Okay. See here in the below diagram here. See, this is the, so this is the tibia and fibula. Okay. This bone. Okay, this is the bone of the leg. So 2 are there. See here. So in this large bone, so this is the tibia, and this small bone, this is the thin bone, this is the fibula. Okay, both are long bone only. So tibia is the medial bone, whereas the fibula is the lateral bone. So along the great toe, so the bone that is the tibia, along the small toe, the bone that is the fibula. So the fibula is the lateral bone, tibia is the medial bone. So these are the 2 bones. So 2 present in one leg. Okay, 2 bone in the leg, in the one leg, similarly in 2 in the legs. So total 4 bones are in the leg region. Now see here, one more bone you will see in the knee region. Okay, see here, this one circular bone is here. You can see one bone is here. So this bone. So this is the bone forming the kneecap. So next bone in the lower limb, that is the bone in kneecap, or bone forming the kneecap. the bone cap. So that is one in his leg. Okay. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So the name of this bone, that is the patella. So this is the patella. You can see in this diagram. So you can feel in your leg also. Okay, that two like round like nodule in the knee joint. So that is the patella only. So this is again the sesamoid bone. Okay, so this sesamoid bone develop in the tendon of quadriceps femoris. Okay, while reading the muscles, you got to know that tendon, quadriceps femoris. So this is the next. So leg bone, knee bone. Okay. Now the next is the bone of the foot. So if you see the bone in the foot region, so again you will find that three category or three types of the bone here. So here you will find the tarsal. In case of upper limb, there was the carpal. Now here the tarsal bone. So you will find the 7 tarsal bone in one leg. Okay, 5 metatarsal in one leg, 14 phalanges in one leg. So in 2 legs, just you have to multiply by 2. So then finally, these are the bone of the foot. Now we'll see the tarsal bone. So how many tarsal bone is there? 7 tarsal in one. Then next is also 7. So total how many? 14. Now we'll name this bone. Now see here in this diagram you can see here. So I'll just encircle the tarsal bone here. Okay, just see here. So this bone. So they are the tarsal bone. Okay. Now I will next encircle the metatarsal bone. So okay. Now we are saying the bone of lower limb, isn't it? So the bone of the pelvic girdle we have seen, that is the hip bone. Bone in the thigh, that is the femur bone. We have already read this thing. Bone in the knee that forms the kneecap, that is the patella. So this is patella, this is the largest sesamoid bone. Okay, just remember this. Then the bone of the leg, so tibia, that is the medial bone, and the fibula, that is the lateral bone. Okay, now we are seeing the bone of foot, isn't it? So how many bones are there in the foot? How many types of bones are there in the foot? Tarsal is there. Tarsal is there. Metatarsal is there. Then phalanges is there. Okay. Now we are seeing the tarsal, isn't it? So how many tarsal are there in each foot? So 7 in each. So 7 in one. In next also 7. So total how many? 14. Okay. Now we should know the name of this tarsal bone. Now say the largest tarsal bone, that is the calcaneus. Calcaneus or calcaneum. Okay. Anything is okay. Then next is the talus. Then the next is the navicular. The next is the cuboid. Then the next is cuneiform. Next is the cuneiform. Okay. So now how many is there? See, calcaneum only one. Talus is also one. Navicular is one. Cuboid is one. Cuneiform is 3. So this is for 1 foot, okay? So for 2 foot, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, then cuneiform is 3 for next foot, okay? For 1 foot, that is calcaneum or calcaneus 1, talus 1, navicular 1, cuboid 1, and cuneiform 3, okay? Now see in this diagram below here. See, just I will encircle the tarsal bone here. See, these are the tarsal bone. Okay, I am encircling only the tarsal bone. Okay, now see the bone present within this area, that is the tarsal bone. Now see here, can you see this brown color bone below? So this is the largest tarsal bone. So that is the calcaneus or calcaneum. So that is the bone of heel. Okay. Next is the talus bone. Just above that, see this bone, this reddish color bone. So this is the talus bone. Okay. Now this bone, so this is the navicular bone. So this blue color bone, see here. So this is the navicular. Now see, this is the cuboid bone. See the green color bone. This is the cuboid bone. Okay. Now the next three bones, see this pinkish color is there. So this is the cuneiform. So three cuneiform are there. So these three cuneiform, they are named as medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and the lateral cuneiform. Okay. So we can name that also. So the cuneiform, three cuneiform, they are the medial, intermediate, and lateral. So medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, lateral. So in the medial side, so this is the medial cuneiform. So medial cuneiform means towards the side of greater toe. Okay, so medial cuneiform. Then from next, that is the intermediate. In between is the intermediate. Then in the lateral side, that is the lateral cuneiform. Okay, so these are the three cuneiform. Okay, so they are the tarsal bone present in the foot. Okay, in one foot there are 7, in 2 foot there are total 14 in number. So in 1 foot, 1 calcaneum, 1 talus. Yes is missing here. Just TALUS, okay. Talus, 1 navicular, 1 cuboid, and the 3 cuneiform in 1 foot. Similarly in the next also. Now see here, to remember this bone, so there is one mnemonics is there, or formula you can say, that is, see, they can so this is the formula, okay, to remember this one. Okay, so they can never catch cats. Better we will write here 3 cats. Okay, if we write 3 cats means 3 cuneiform. Okay, so P for talus, C for calcaneum, N for navicular, C for cuboid, and the 3 cat for 3 cuneiform. Okay, just remember this. So it will be easy in exam also to remember the name of the bone. Okay, they can never catch cats, or 3 cats you write. 3 cats means that is 3 cuneiform. Okay. Okay, up here. Now the next bone, that is the metatarsal. So the metatarsal bone, see, there is no space here. Okay, there should not be space. So metatarsal bone, see, in each foot there are 5. 5 plus 5 is equals to 10. So in each foot 5. Now see, the naming of metacarpal, that is metatarsal, is like first, second, third, fourth, fifth. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now see here, the numbering of metatarsal, this is from medial to lateral. Okay. In case of hand, the numbering of metatarsal, the metacarpal, that was from lateral to medial. Okay, lateral 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From lateral to medial. In case of hand, that is the numbering of metacarpal in hand. But in case of foot, the numbering is from medial to lateral. Are you getting? Medial means, see, in the foot, the medially there is the greater toe in the foot. But in case of hand, this thumb is laterally. Okay, in anatomical position, it is in the lateral position. So from lateral to medial, that is the numbering of metacarpal. First, second, third, fourth, fifth metacarpal in case of hand. But in case of foot, from medial to lateral, that is the numbering of metatarsal bone. So see, this is the, now I will encircle the metatarsal bone. See, this is the metatarsal. Okay. So this brown color, can you see here? Like brownish yellowish color. So these are the metatarsal bone. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So first related to the greater toe. Second, third, fourth, fifth. The fifth related to the small toe. So they are the metatarsal bone. Okay. So this is from which side to which side? Medial to lateral. So medial to lateral. So they are the metatarsal bone. Now next, the remaining bone. The remaining bone, see here. So these are the now remaining bone. Okay. So they are the phalanges. So I will encircle the phalanges here. So now these are the phalanges. So how many phalanges we are having?
14.
Yes. So 14 in one. 14 plus 14 in next. So is equals to, you can write 28. So total 28. In foot only, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see here. So see in first digit. So in the greater toe, only two are there. See, in greater toe only two are there, and remaining all toes, see, three are there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So now see greater toe. So in the greater toe, two are there. Okay. In each foot I am writing here. Okay. So two are there. Then the second toe. So in the second toe, 2. Sorry, 3. Now remaining all toe 3. So 3. Then the third toe. So that there is again 3. Then the fourth toe. Again 3. Then the small toe or fifth toe, anything you can write. Okay. So there are 3. So see here, in the greater toe, you will only find the two, that is the proximal and distal. And distal phalanx. In case of second to fifth toe, you will find the 3. So the name are like proximal, middle, and distal. Okay. For all toe, now remaining all. In third also proximal, middle, and distal. Now you can see here. So see the proximal row. So this is the proximal row. So these are the proximal phalanges. So this like purple color. Okay, proximal. Then see in the greater toe there is no middle. See middle phalanges in brown color is given from second to fifth. So this is the middle phalanges. Then they are the distal phalanges. So distal phalanges is present in all toe. So proximal and distals are present in all, and the middle phalanges they are present in the second, third, fourth, and fifth only. Okay. So these are the phalanges in the leg. Okay. Now these all are the bones of the body. Okay. Now you have to know the name of all the bones. Okay.